The overwhelming thesis of the article is that it's this shadowy, secretive, dark money group that is secretly pushing creators to toe the party lines, to push a specific political message. I think that is the way that most people are going to interpret reading this article, is that Chorus is a dark money group funded by 1630.
So this is like an objectively fucking retarded response because the cohorts didn't exist, the program didn't exist, the contracts didn't exist. Hello.
All right.
Oh, I'm watching Hutch like totally soy out about Hassan saying that PV was just a slush fund for Destiny's friends and saying there's no reason to believe that. And then I'm flicking back to this log from Destiny from March of this year where he says that like he's really mad that everybody sort of like was a vulture about his allegations, and Progressive Victory paid out millions in wages to all of those people, and the whole thing only existed because of me on top of a billion other things. I'm just like, yeah, Destiny kind of threw you guys all under the bus. Like, unfortunately, it seems like he's sort of validating. The entire statement's fucking retarded from top to bottom. I don't think this is the truth, to be clear. But I will say that Hassan seems to be more or less like quoting what Desi's saying. The thing only existed because of me. I got all these people these jobs, and then they all turned on me. I don't know. It's very funny to me that he's saying this. It's not true. Like I know that one, it didn't pay out millions. Yes. I think the whole funding for Progressive Victory in the 2024 cycle was like $500,000.
I don't know how much it was, but if millions were being paid out, I gotta talk to my lawyer about
yeah, you got stiffed.
Getting some back pay on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what was your take on the Chorus situation? Like, what was your take on after watching the Destiny Taylor Lorenz?
I think that Taylor knew my talking points, so she totally owned Destiny completely. I think Wired put their reputation on the line with this. I think the next step of this is going to be, it would play out exactly like the Fox News Dominion case, where if Wired is lying, the next step is for Chorus to make an official statement saying, you are lying, you are libeling us. These are factually incorrect claims. Here's our evidence for it, and if you don't retract, we will be suing you.
Okay. So I saw two different responses to the claims made in the Wired article that I thought were rather interesting. But one thing I guess I just wanted to say was where did you see that David Pakman said that the article was totally debunked?
Twitter.
It was on Twitter? I looked at his Twitter. I couldn't find it. Maybe I'm just retarded. But I'll take your word for it. But one of the responses I saw was...
I'll just pull it up for you really quickly. We just do this one real quick. After a recent Wired hit piece, now fully debunked, false claims started circulating. Sadly, some people have chosen to unsubscribe from my website membership, Substack, or unfollowed on YouTube.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know how I missed that. I went down David Pakman's Twitter and I'm like really
Does he tweet a lot?
I guess I just missed that.
He might tweet a lot. It's August 29th. If he tweets like 10
no,
times a day,
I don't think he does. Maybe I was
posts.
just retarded. I remember being kind of surprised. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I was just curious because I didn't see it in the two videos, so I didn't even frankly know he tweeted almost at all. So this kind of stems into my kind of thesis, I guess, for how I viewed the article in context is I'm not sure how different this contract is than many, like in reality, like how bad this contract or unethical or whatever this contract would even really be. Because when we look at the wording, and I think you might have looked at somebody responding to this, some 10-minute video that somebody did.
Yeah,
I'm kind of going over it.
The alley video.
Yeah, that one. What was your response to that?
With regards to, I think it validates the reporting.
You think it validates? I mean, wait, in that 10-minute video, she speaks on every critical point that the reporting made and gave real, tangible reasons for why this was potentially worded the way it was in the contract.
Sure. We can just we can go through it. I've watched it a couple times. Oh God, why did this?
Okay.
Hello, I am a
This is our video, right?
Yeah.
leftist that is known for being very critical of
So
the
let's-
Democratic Party, and I'm a member of a training program called Chorus that teaches political content creators on the left how to grow their platforms and make content creation into a full-time job. I have a slew of receipts to explain why a very fear-mongering article that came out yesterday about how this program works is just very inaccurate, and I think I'm a good person to talk about this because I've seen a lot of people afraid that this program is just a way for Democrats to pay people off to blindly defend Democrats on the internet, and I understand the fear because that would be diabolical if it was true. But this is a video of me yelling at the DNC literally yesterday over their refusal to endorse an arms embargo against Israel. I am not one to hold back on criticizing the Democratic establishment, so I think I'm useful proof that that's not what this program's about. I do feel there's
Yeah, so I don't think that the program ever, I don't think it's an allegation that everybody who is involved in the program is doing this. I think the byline is a little interesting. Okay.
I mean, the byline literally states that, right?
The byline says they're being paid to push party propaganda or something, push the party line. Now, I would say this goes to a couple different pieces of information. One, David Pakman, not Brian Tyler Cohen, explicitly stating that this is their mission, okay? Republicans don't you hate it? He goes on Destiny's stream, he goes on his own YouTube and says, don't you guys hate it how it sometimes seems like Republicans, when there's a big news happening, it's like they're lockstep, they went to a morning meeting, they've all got the same talking points, right? Democrats need to be able to do the same, and I'm starting Chorus Media Group to make it happen. Okay, so that's a stated intent that I think is important. I believe the pitch deck for the company actually states that Democrats are failing in their messaging. They're disorganized. They're not able to message through these smaller channels at all, right? They've talked about this, and they have daily messaging check-ins. They have a weekly 1-hour advocacy training, which is about learning about a policy from the perspective of the literally, what is it? The progressive agenda for Chorus, which you would have to assume follows pretty closely with whatever the agenda would be for the 1630 fund. Then they also have, on big news days, they'll have rapid response meetings, okay? Rapid response days, where Brian Tyler Cohen schedules a special meeting where he gives people the talking points for that day. So again, I think all of these things put together, they're all acknowledged. None of them are refuted. That, to me, translates to it being factually. Maybe it's not a fact that they're being paid to push the party line, but I don't think that's a crazy editorialization. I don't think that's way over the line.
Well, what you would need from there is that if they deviate from, because you don't even have the details of what they're specifically talking about. Based on what I saw, it seems like they are giving you the information of the things that happen of the day. So it's not like they're necessarily giving you talking points, but that they're giving you a list of things that happened in that day and the sources of the things that happened in that day.
I mean, it's
now
called
I don't
the daily
disagree with you
messaging
that that's
update.
probably colored in a specific way that is beneficial to them. I don't disagree with that. But what you would need from there is them explicitly cutting people out for not representing that material in the way that they want.
Why?
Because otherwise, then they're not being paid money to push the agenda.
Sure. So what if doing that would make you clearly partisan and be counted as be counted against you as a 501c4? Wouldn't it be fine to invite other people who you could just pay, and then you could continue to dump in massive amounts of money to pay other creators? So if it's let's say hypothetically, it's 80% people who are willing to just push the party line, right? And then the only cost that they have to not pushing those other people out is they just paid somebody who is 90% aligned with you instead of 100%, and you just don't kick them out. Do you think that cuts against the idea that you're being paid to push the party line? That broadly, that is the goal?
No, all I'm saying is that if you're being paid to push the party line, I think you need to illustrate that when people deviate from pushing the party line, they don't get paid.
So I don't know about that. There's a 6-month thing. I would just say that that's acceptable, loss of investment, that they just don't care, right?
Well, no, because you would need to illustrate that these people are losing funding, right? That's what being paid to push the party line means. If I'm getting paid to push the party line, but they don't care if I don't push the party line and I can still get paid, then I'm not getting, then where are you getting the allegation that I'm getting paid to push the party line?
So how could we explain this? It might not be that do you think, what if they paid how do I explain this? You can do this through soft power instead of hard power, right? You don't have to directly cut people off who don't do this. You can find people who are likely to do this. You can amplify them. You can give them money so they can make content full time. And then if you miss on, let's say, 5% of them or 10% of them, you don't have to keep paying them. You could just say it's a 6-month program. You don't come back, right? You could just filter them out without ever actually kicking them out. I don't think a requirement of pushing the party line is kicking people out the second they cut against the party. I think that would obviously make them partisan. That would make them immediately partisan, and that would get their like massive FEC fines and possibly like reports against them.
If your argument is that then I would say that this is a massive editorializing. If your argument isn't that they're being paid money to push the party line, but instead they pick people who already push a line that they agree with, then that is a massive editorializing. They're not being paid money to push the line. They're being paid money because they already make content that they find to be good.
So if I find somebody who loves driving and I hire them as my driver, I'm a rich guy with a limousine, they love driving, you think it would be an editorialization to say I'm paying that person to drive me around? They'd just be driving around in their own car if they weren't
No,
driving
if
me
they
around.
drive you around, then it is factually true that you are paying them money to drive you around.
Okay.
It is not factually true that these people are being paid money to push the party line. It hasn't been proven. It hasn't been substantiated.
What if
I would say that it is a
line?
clear push against. If your argument is that they're finding people who push the party line in a way that they approve of, and already prior to signing them onto this program,
so
and then they sign them onto the program, and then if they miss with some of these people or whatever, then after a long period or after their contract is naturally up, then they stop paying them to be a part of their program. Then I mean, one, I would need to see that as a fact, and number two, like I don't see how they're being paid necessarily to push the party line. They're being
I would
paid. They're just being. You could say that you could apply motive there, but you need more than that. Just because these people are all happen to be paid, even if it's 100%, just because all these people are happening to be paid who push the party line, you need to substantiate that is the reason why they're being paid.
Well, I would say if they were going to push the party line anyway, and you pay them to do that, 5 times more than they would have otherwise, I would say that is paying them to push the party line. But beyond that, right? Beyond that, I think it's the messaging talk. I think it's the stated intent from Brian Tyler Cohen that he wants this to be about dem messaging, right? Hold on a second. Let's see here. My Evil Johnny Bravo's got a message here in the chat. This is established. It's not an esoteric concept. There are laws that fell into place with the FTC to prevent record companies from using bribes to promote artists to radio DJs. You pay in advance without expectation, but an implied understanding is developed in the industry. Okay, so basically, what are you trying to say? That if you don't play their artist, they won't keep paying. Oh, so like they start paying, and it's not for you to like play their artists, payola. Okay, this is what payola is. Okay, that you pay people, and there's like an understanding there, but it can't be explicit because it's against the law to be explicit. And then it's basically like you form the understanding. Yeah, so I would say this seems to me like a pretty obvious concept, but like I don't even think there's an implied
but for such a
of like
reputable
the party line
and
or get
established
lost.
paper to put up like if they're being paid money to push the party line, you're going to need a lot more to go off of than that. In my opinion, I think you need a lot more to go off of. That's a crazy thing to say for like a reputable paper.
I think it's an editorialization. I think it's a little hyperbolic. I don't think it's insanely hyperbolic. And I think the reporting in there, I don't feel like it's like a crazy claim. And I especially don't think that it's disproven by showing that one person likes Palestine. I think that's insane. Out of 85 to 90 people in that cohort, showing one of them likes Palestine, I don't think that disproves the idea that they could be getting paid to.
No, I don't think it is that there's only one. No, there's several. No?
There's at least 2 that I've seen.
Okay.
It's definitely not more than 4 or 5, and out of like 80 something, right? Oh, sorry.
I don't
there's
know.
not more than 4 or 5 that are public.
How many. I didn't go down each and every one of them, but
there's not more than 4 or 5 that are public. But I would say that it could be that they actually are even more pro-Palestine than the Democratic Party, like significantly so, right? They're getting a lot of TikTok influencers. They might be like way more progressive on Palestine, on Israel-Palestine than the Democratic Party. That could be true. I'd say on the rest of the issues, they're probably close to in lockstep, in my opinion.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be true.
But regardless, I just don't. I think this is. By the way, this would be the worst part of the article to me is the title and byline. So I'm like defending it a little bit, but I do think it's the worst part of the article. I think it's over editorialized. I think it's misleading, but I don't think it's like insane. I don't think it's like
I think it's massively misleading, to be honest. I think it colors the rest of the article. The entire, and I think this is because I remember when we had talked about it, you said that there was a lot of people who are saying that this article is debunked and stuff like that, and you said that it doesn't critique the main argument of the article, being the main argument, as I understand your perspective to be, that there was the creator incubator program, which had specific stipulations inside of the contract to keep it or to try and prevent disclosures and not be transparent with how much money they're getting paid. But I personally believe that isn't the crux of this whole article. The crux of this whole article is exactly what the title says and the byline says. It's that this group is secretly funding Democrat influencers to be able to toe the party line. And if you look at every single person, I would say this is substantiated by every single person who has come away with some kind of conclusion about this article. All of their conclusions are that these Dem influencers are being pushed in a very specific direction with their content to be able to make very specific content that is like towing the party line. It's not that specifically the incubator program had a specific contract stipulation that wasn't as transparent as we would like it to be.
So do you think it's Taylor Lorenz's fault that Wired put this title and byline in here that are not representative?
I think it is both of their faults. Yeah, I think it's both of their faults. I think she should have stood on it and been like, yeah, I don't think that you should do this. And I also think the substance of the article itself doesn't meet merit with that being the crux critique. It's most of the article is going through and talking about, yes, some of the disclosure shit, but it's substantiating it as being like this crippling thing that prevents people from talking about their participation in chorus and prevents them from disclosing stuff. And that's kind of why I wanted you to watch this video, because I'm curious what your interpretation is of this chick's
I don't
word.
know. Sorry, that's crippling them from disclosing. Can I get are you talking about something in the article? Because like I think the contract language isn't even disputed that they were prevented from, like, that there is contract language saying you can't do standard partnership disclosures, don't do this shit, right? And I don't think
in this
one
video it
creator
doesn't dispute it either.
Okay, like she doesn't dispute that that's the case.
Yeah, she contextualizes it in the same way that I was referring to you, where I said, I don't think you can really have an ethical opinion on this without having some kind of legal understanding or practical understanding of the contract language. And it seems like she contextualizes it in a way that I believe, one, that I was thinking in a hypothetical sense could be the case. And it seems like from her articulation is the case.
Sure. I mean, we can hear from her. Why do you think that Wired had a lawyer to look at this and interpret it the way they did?
Because I think it can be interpreted in many different ways, and it's very the contract can be predatory and it can be misused. But what you really need to do is you need to look at the practical application of the contract.
Oh, because you can't look at the practical application.
She goes into it,
because
which is
program hasn't
absolutely the
existed.
case.
Like they're just starting.
No, what I'm saying is that this, and she goes into it, is that contracts like this, just like contracts with every single corporation ever, since the beginning of mankind, is made specifically to favor the business to be able to pretty much sue you for whatever the fuck they want, right? If you do anything that we don't like, we reserve the right to sue your ass into oblivion. And that is kind of what she's talking about, is that the language inside of the contract allows for a wide breadth of latitude legally for chorus, but in practicality, it's just like it's really lax and casual because it's just trying to prevent people from, it's trying to cover their own ass legally.
Why do you think that out of the 80 creators, there's only like 80, there's only like 5 to maybe 10 tops that have disclosed that they're part of the program?
I'm not even sure that's true, because isn't there like 10 creators on their website? Or are you talking
all
about
of those
the incubator
so
program?
hold on, yeah, the incubator program, obviously. Yeah. Sorry if it might not be
Okay,
obvious.
I don't know.
Obviously,
I
might
don't
not
know
be
how
obvious.
many a part of the incubator program have disclosed it. I'll take your word for it that it's
Well, because the contract
5,
only
you
applies
said?
to people in the incubator program, right? The contract is for people in the incubator
No, and
program.
according to at least the chick that the video is, I don't think she was a part of the incubator program, because she said she might have been,
She is a
but
part
she
of the
said she
incubator
signed a
program.
similar contract, and she or at least speaks about a similar contract, and that she I believe went on board in like November of 2024, like during the original
She
inception of the program.
joined, but I do not believe she joined as so the program didn't exist. They weren't doing this, as far as I understand. Program didn't exist. They weren't doing this financial aspect, but people joined as partners to try to get Chorus off the ground. They were crowdsourcing donations and stuff for them, right?
Yeah, and so she speaks about it as if she signed on to a similar contract and then contextualizes it.
Okay. She did sign one of these contracts, and that's why she pulls up her contract explicitly to show for one of the sections. And she is in the program, but she didn't disclose that she was in the program before starting it, right? So this will be a big thing that comes up, I believe, as we go through it. But
people in this cohort who shill a little bit too hard for the Democrats, but that's a them problem, not a this program problem. Without further ado, let's get into the claims of the article versus my receipts. Okay, so the first main big scary thing that's written into this article is creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program or that Chorus existed. No. Here's a video of someone named Heidi who's in the cohort explaining what Chorus is and that she's joining it on November 20th,
So this is like an objectively fucking retarded response, because the cohorts didn't exist, the program didn't exist, the contracts didn't exist. You cannot disclose your financial agreement or any contract that you've signed with these people when those contracts don't exist, when the program doesn't exist, when the funding doesn't exist.
If you're talking specifically about the incubator program, then yeah, but I don't think this is an objectively retarded thing to say when talking about Chorus as it exists in its entirety.
Is about the incubator program. The article is the contracts in the article about the
no, the article is about
it is all in reference to
the article is about principally the article is about like a dark money group funding specifically this Chorus program, and then like consistently flip-flops between Chorus and the people who are participating in the totality of Chorus and not explicitly the incubator program.
So
the problem is the article itself is not well written to be able to consolidate exclusively for the incubator program.
The incubator program is the only thing being funded, as far as I know, by 1630.
Yeah, so I genuinely don't know about the rest of Chorus's funding, but whether that's true or not, they don't make proper distinctions inside of the article about Chorus as it exists in its entirety versus the incubator program, and often flip-flops by talking about people who participated principally in the founding of Chorus and the development of Chorus even prior to the incubator program. So I don't think this is a retarded point for people to talk about Chorus. And moreover, I would say that the people who believe and agree with this article seems to have all come away with the interpretation that Chorus as an entity in its entirety is doing these things, right? That
I don't know
how. The Hassan, not even just the Hassan types. If you look up any
literally
video,
don't know how. I don't know. Can I really blame? So can I blame Taylor Lorenz for propagandists intentionally misreading and lying about her?
No, I don't believe it is an intentional misreading. I think if you read this as an individual who isn't explicitly looking for. I think if you do not read this with an incredibly critical eye, you come away with the interpretation that Chorus is a dark money group funded by, what is it? I keep wanting to say Zero Dark 30, but you know what I'm talking about, that group.
Me too. I kept thinking zero Dark 30. Oh, damn. Yeah. Let's go. I said that earlier.
1630.
I know, 1630.
Yeah.
That's what I keep thinking too.
Yeah, so that is that's a funny bit there. I think that is the way that most people are going to interpret reading this article, is that Chorus is a dark money group funded by 1630.
Well, I think they're also a 501c4. They're a 501. Are they a 501c4 taking money from a 501c4? Chorus Media Group is, I believe, a 501c4. I thought it was funny that they they talk about where they're funded from, okay, and they're frequently asked questions. Who funds Chorus? Well, Chorus is just a little grassroots thing, support from over 5,000 individuals since launching in December 2024. I think this is just them not updating their website, but I think it's pretty funny that they don't say this.
But that they don't disclose that 1630 is funding them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Anyway, so like from the very beginning, the context of this article provided at the very beginning is, in a private group chat in June, dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $8,000 in June per month to take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. I do not think this is even remotely over anything. I think this is just accurate. That this program is aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. It is they're being offered up to $8,000 per month, and it started in June. Like this is just like all accurate.
The thing
right
I
here.
would contest here is that it's a secretive program.
So you couldn't talk about the program, and none of these people disclosed the program starting. There's not.
I'm not sure.
As far as
so
I know,
where do you get
if
the
I could
idea
find
that you
a
couldn't
single
talk about the
financial
program?
disclosure, if I could from the contracts, and I've not seen anybody dispute that you're not supposed to talk about the contracts or who pays for it explicitly. That seems outlawed.
Well,
by the
so
contract.
even
I've not seen
in
anybody
this
dispute
article,
that.
there is like contradictions to that, because we talk about the without prior approval, and we talked about without prior approval and how that would work. I think the chicken side of the video gives a lackluster explanation that sounds like it's probably not the case. And if I had to guess, it was probably more of a legal thing. But also, we talk about like public disclosures. In this article, it states that a lawyer from Chorus reached out and spoke specifically about how to address the affiliation with the program publicly. So you were able to talk about it publicly, no?
So they were allowed to disclose Chorus publicly. It does not say they were allowed to talk about the program publicly, from what I've seen here. So,
Okay, so then why did they add that then?
Because this was updated from him.
If your claim is that the principle, it was so obvious that they were talking specifically about the program and not Chorus publicly, then why would they post this?
They're not allowed to talk about the program. And the update from Graham Wilson, the lawyer, says it's an update. The update from Graham Wilson, the lawyer, says that they had a slide that offers several talking points if a member of the cohort wanted to discuss Chorus publicly. This does not say the creator incubator program. It says Chorus publicly. It continues.
So
this is not changed.
Why would that
just
be
real quick,
updated
I just want to point
it's
out
so obvious they're talking about the program?
Because this was an update shared from them, and I think they just didn't want to not throw that update in, because this guy is basically saying, I have an update for you, here's how they're allowed to talk about it, but they're alleging that you're not allowed to talk about the program. They were given an update that says you're not allowed to talk about Chorus. Or sorry, that you're allowed to talk about Chorus in general, publicly.
Well, according to you, this article has nothing to do with whether or not you can talk about Chorus.
So I think they're trying to not keep, I think they're trying to be, they know they're being accused of like this article being like defaming, and I think they're including the update to satisfy Chorus, to show that they're willing to take updates and to try to not have this company like continue to slander them, right? I think they added that update. I don't think the update makes sense, and they don't change. They also forbid creators from disclosing the identity of any funder and give Chorus the ability to remove all this. Hold on. Contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures, declaring that the creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus's prior consent. So this part, not publicize their relationship, they're saying, oh, we actually did talk about, so that is the update. We did actually say, here are a couple ways that offer several talking points if a member wants to discuss the cohort or other cohort wanted to discuss
wouldn't
Chorus
that imply
publicly.
so you're saying that right there, to not publicize their relationship with Chorus, is that not a thing that a reasonable reader could read and think that they're talking about all of Chorus and not that they're talking about a very specific program in Chorus that happened a second ago?
Yeah. It sounds like there's language in the contract that says not to publicize your relationship with Chorus. Now, a lot of the creators in this wouldn't have had a previous relationship with Chorus. I'm guessing there are ways that the existing creators who already had announced a partnership with this would have talked about it, and I'm guessing that's why they had to clarify things. So prior to this program, many of these creators had said, I'm working with Chorus. I'm helping them.
My question?
basically they're alleging that the article says people who sign this contract can't talk about Chorus, but there are people who before this had partnered with Chorus and talked about partnerships with Chorus, but not people on the program. I've not seen a single person who's on this program who has come out and said, before this article was made, oh, I'm getting money from this Chorus thing.
But that doesn't have to be the case. But either way, that doesn't address my point. My point is that a reasonable reader would read that section talking about not being able to publicize the relationship with Chorus and believe it explicitly pertains to Chorus and not explicitly just this one program.
This is saying Chorus. This is saying Chorus.
Yes,
right?
So
this is saying the people who sign this
amongst
are
many other
Chorus
statements inside of the article
so
would
what
have
is the
a
contract
reasonable
for?
reader believe that Chorus as its entirety is like some dark money group that is some secretive, shadowy element.
That would not make any sense because there's lots of
case.
public announcements about Chorus, but that wouldn't make any sense. So this is about the people signing the contract for the incubator program are being told you shouldn't publicize your relationship with Chorus. That is being said.
So then this is now kind of why where I would like to go back to the TikTok video, because I think she explains it in a way that I was kind of trying to contextualize it that I think kind of makes sense, and I want to hear your response.
Sure. 2024. But I will say that talking about, so this is not dispositive of anything. This is basically saying, this is somebody saying that, you know, in June, they changed the speed limit on that thing to 60 miles per hour from 50 miles per hour. And they're going, look, here's me driving 65 back before that. And I didn't even get pulled over. I'm actually fucking up the analogy. I had it earlier, but I'm like actually borderline falling asleep. I'll figure it out another time. This is not actually substantially like dealing with this at all. This is before they had the program, before they had the incubator program. The point of the article is the incubator program contracts are preventing disclosures or have language that claims you should not disclose, right?
Sure, let's keep watching how they address the language.
Yeah, I would just say any disclosures that happened before this program existed or before any of them were signed up for it, right, before they were getting the money and signing those contracts, they're worthless to me.
Here is the Chorus website that is public facing, anyone can see it, with literal pictures of creators that are in the cohort. In the contract I signed, there is some language that says, hey, please, like before you make a public statement about what Chorus is, just check with us. The reason for that is that, as the article states, there's over 90 influencers in the program, many of whom have very small accounts and joined the program to get like mentorship and happen to be immigrants or trans in a red state, right? And like already happen to be kind of in extra danger right now. And
so they can't disclose because they're trans people in a red state and they might get like attacked by Republicans.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good argument for not disclosing. I don't think there's a good argument. I'm not even sure how this would specifically work. But yeah, just you can keep going.
I think this is like horrible cope from TikTok creators who are used to using identity politics to just like cry bully their way into being like not criticized. I think it's just like par for the course with anybody who operates in this sphere.
So the goal with the like, please check with us clause was to make sure that small creators who already had targets on their back weren't accidentally like featured on a huge page and then suddenly had an onslaught of threats from the right. Chorus has never been kept some nefarious secret, right? People have been talking about it. It was more just, hey, this is already an unsafe job for some people. Check with us in advance so you don't accidentally like add to someone's unsafety. Okay, number 2.
Yeah, that's total and I've never heard. That's insane.
So just to be clear, you think this person is lying?
I think they are just making something up because they're sweeping for the people paying them $8,000 a month reflexively, as most people would.
So
I understand the financial incentive.
What I'm saying is, it's one thing to say, because we both agree that this is a retarded point, but that the idea is whether or not they had the ability to disclose, and all they had to do was come forward about it. And maybe the reason that they were given or the reason that they had interpreted was bullshit. But the question is whether or not they believed that they had the ability to come forward and then disclose whether or not they were a part of Chorus or a part of the program, right?
I think it's both. I think it's the contract language and what their belief was, what a reasonable person would believe based on the contract, what the individuals who came forward and were whistleblowing essentially thought it meant, right? I think they include all of these things. And I think if they only had one of those, they wouldn't run the article.
Why did this person believe that they could? Unless, do you believe that they're lying, and
It's
that
clear that this
they
person
couldn't?
had a special relationship with Chorus, where they were involved in this cohort way before it was created. Sorry, they were involved with
Yeah,
this
but
company
you have no
way
reason to
before the
believe
cohort
you have
was
no reason to
created.
believe that this contract stipulation is any different for them than it is anybody else.
I could see it being different. I could see it being different because she's already disclosed a partnership with Chorus. So if she signs a contract that says I'm not going to disclose it further, that could be like weird. It's possible she has something slightly different. She's in the accelerator or whatever cohort. She's in the $8,000 a month tier of the cohort. So,
So
like,
she's in the incubator program, or
yeah,
whatever?
she's in the incubator program. Yeah, she
Sure.
posts like a lot more stuff about it as well. I'm guessing she asked for explicit permission to talk about all of this, and like I feel like probably talked through how she was going to make this video with them, but you know, that's me, this conspiracy brain. I don't have any proof of that. I would imagine she talked through
Sure,
how
but we
she was
have
going to
no
defend it.
reason to believe that she's lying about how she feels like she could disclose it at any time, right? We have no reason to believe that she's lying.
Okay, wait? Has anybody asked her if she got consent from Chorus before disclosing it?
I'm assuming that there's somebody who asked her. I don't know if she responded.
Because I would love to know that, because then I would assume that if she asked permission, then that's knowing that she couldn't disclose it without permission, which is what the contract states.
No, I'm not disputing that you have to with permission. You can only disclose it with permission. The thing that I'm disputing is whether or not the permission is readily available to pretty much anybody who wants to disclose. That's the difference, right?
Sure. You could say that, but I would say most people might think that there's some bad reason to disclose, and they might never ever seek that permission, right? Like I think that's the default with a lot of contracts, that if you say you need my permission to do this, that's normally a thing that is difficult. Now, it's not always the case, and maybe she's just the only go-getter who is thinking about this, right? In that case, I would just say statements from Chorus saying we do this automatically. It's like only here as a legal thing. Actually, we don't really think it's that important. You know, I would say, to me, if that was the highlight here, where they respond and they say, well, actually, here's like a reason we do it, and I understand it looks bad, but this is like more or less what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and it's just a misunderstanding. That would make total sense to me.
Then
when they come out and say that this is a total hit piece, and Taylor Lorenz is lying, and also she loves Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Actually,
so
I think when you go with that playbook,
creators who are part of this program who are saying that you are able to disclose these things, you just need to ask for permission, and you have these meetings where there are slides being shown, albeit I'll just grant the idea that it's only talking about Chorus and not the incubator program, and it doesn't explicitly state the incubator program. You have these slides that talk about how you can talk about the Chorus program publicly. Then at what point am I going to be like, hey, maybe some of the people who thought that there was no imaginable way that they could have disclosed this publicly, that these people might have kind of gotten it wrong, kind of misunderstood what it was saying.
Okay. I just want to point out one more time that her primary argument for that was that they were trying to protect trans creators in red states, essentially, like the total cope one. So whatever, like she's on, she's like totally fucking retarded. And
well, that it doesn't matter. So my point is, it doesn't matter if her reasoning for why she believed she was at liberty to request or that she needed permission to talk about it publicly. That's not material. What's material is her ability to get that permission granted upon request, which she seems to be making the argument that she would have been granted permission pretty much upon request.
So I would just say, if it's readily available, I'm not totally sure why the need for the contract language exists.
She gets into it, which is exactly what I had brought up when I had originally came on and I was talking about legalese stuff. So I think we should probably keep moving on with the video.
According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. No, again, I literally have the contract.
So this one, I think, is just totally proven by the actual contract, right?
Totally proven? What do you mean?
Yeah,
the
totally
Wired
proven.
stuff is totally proven?
So this is all contacts with politicians, and policy experts that are related to Chorus's thing need to be funneled through the Chorus newsroom. They need to be like expressed there in some way. There needs to be an artifact that Chorus can track and add that contact to their own shit. I think that's expressly stated here. I think it's expressly stated in the article. I don't see a lot of issue with it.
I didn't really care much for this claim, so let me just read it. Chorus will provide contracts with access to Chorus Newsroom, which coordinates booking engagement opportunities for creators with government officials, policy, nonprofits, and others whose expertise and experience are relevant to Chorus's progressive policy agenda. Contractor agrees to utilize the Chorus Newsroom to book engagements, disclose to the Chorus Newsroom personnel any engagements with government officials or others on topics related to Chorus's policy agenda that contractor arranges through other means, and I can't read the rest of it.
Collaborates with Chorus regarding all such separately arranged engagements or whatever. So basically, you need to disclose to the Chorus Newsroom. I believe Chorus Newsroom is software. It's basically like customer relationship management. So you make like contacts for the people you're talking to, maybe do a booking to show when you scheduled with them. So it should be filed through there, right? They should be updated on it. And then it says collaborate fully regarding all such separate. So I don't know if that means you need to check in with them. Collaborate is a little confusing, right? Collaborate could mean you have to check in with them. It could mean, I don't know, you ask for like questions you should ask them. I have no idea what it means, right? Could mean, I haven't seen that addressed by anyone, what collaborate fully means.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what collaborate fully would mean either, but I'm curious what your interpretation of how she's going to talk about it is.
Oh, I think she basically said that from the article. So the claim from the article
was...
safety.
Okay, number 2.
This.
According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. No, again, I literally have the contract right here. I'll talk through it in the...
And I believe that this is essentially...
Yeah, sorry, just push play and then have her keep talking.
But first, let me show you this. Here's an email of me directly reaching out to the Zoran campaign to try to interview him, because Chorus does not control who I interview or what I post. I also sometimes text the comms directors directly of like Congress people that I want to interview, because usually the congressional offices will give out these little business cards. And this is not like specific to content creators. This is just like if you go to try to talk to your senator, their people will give you little business cards. I blurred out the name of the specific person because I feel awkward, but like anybody can get these business cards and then you can just text them. Chorus does not control that. I've done lots of congressional interviews and usually I just set them up myself. And here's the section of the contract, right, that confirms that. It says they want you to disclose to Chorus any engagement with government officials related to Chorus's policy agenda.
Collaborate fully with Chorus regarding all such separately arranged engagements, sorry. So I think she just doesn't follow the contract at all and they don't bother her.
That contractor, that's me, I'm the contractor, arranges through other means, right? So if I just arrange it myself with a congressperson, I just let Chorus know so that they know that congressperson's open to booking and other people in Chorus can do it too. Accidentally, I always forget to let Chorus know. Like, I don't think I've ever told them that before, but that's not what's important.
So I think she's basically saying I just don't follow the contract, which is kind of funny. Because it is explicitly stating you're agreeing to do all of these things. She's basically just saying I don't follow this at all.
So this is kind of the overarching point that I was making and that she's going to further extrapolate on, which is that it is the industry standard in every single face of the planet Earth as I know it, and probably forever will be into perpetuity, which is when businesses set up contracts for you to sign, they just give themselves as much power as legally possible over everything that you do, in the hopes that if they ever don't like anything that you do, that they are in the best politically advantageous position as possible. So her point is
I think
that the contract language does it stipulates these various things, but in practicality, you can just book with these people and just be like, yo, I'm hitting up the nigga Zoran next week. And they'd be like, hey, yo,
doesn't even
bless.
let them know.
And then that's it.
Which is kind of insane. She's saying she doesn't care. Although I could actually go back and look at the...
Arrange policy for us of the business card.
She have an email where she showed it? No, she showed an email.
She showed an email.
June 2nd. So I don't know. This could be before June 2nd, depending on when she joined the cohort or signed it. It could be before she even signed a contract saying she would do that. Right? So this might not actually be disproving anything.
I think the point of this video is, I mean, she said that she signed a contract with some of the stipulations. I believe she goes on to say every one of the stipulations that is laid out in the Wired article. So she isn't even debating the specific things in the article as being uh, like necessarily untrue, but inaccurate relative to how it actually works in the
Oh.
contract.
I'm being told this is actually before so she's giving proof that's from before the contract. She's saying, I did this and I didn't let anybody know.
No,
It's
she's saying that she
that's
signed a
not disproving
contract that's
anything.
pretty much the same. That's it doesn't matter if this is before the cohort program, because according to her, she signed a contract that has all of the principal stipulations that are at issue in the cohort in the Wired article.
You believe that she signed a contract from them before any of this that has all the same stipulations, that is like the
She's
money
alleging
contract.
that. Yeah, she alleges that she was able to do that, or she did that.
But does she allege that she signed it before, like way before, like in April, in March, in February?
I'm not sure the exact month, but she alleges that she signed a contract explicitly.
Sure. But I know she signed a contract. I know she's in the $8,000 tier.
Then you would be admitting, or sorry, you would be saying that this person is just directly lying about it.
So
because because if that was the case, then she would have to be knowingly talking about a contract that she signed like a month ago and talk about events to contradict the claims that contract restricted her with events from like several months ago. So your claim would just be that this person is bold-faced lying.
That is what I think explicitly almost all of these people are doing. Yes.
Okay. So
I think they've signed a contract after the fact.
To go off on that.
I think so. I've not seen any of them. None of them disclosed when they signed those contracts. None of them disclosed they're being paid by Chorus, right? Going up to this point, and nobody's talked about them getting paid by Chorus from before this. So I would need to see that they were being paid not based on this. She says she's a part of this program, this incubator program specifically. This incubator program started in June. So there's 2 days in June that it could have started. I don't know if it started then, because it says a month ago in the Wired article, and that was published on August, whatever, 26th or something, 27th. So like, I feel like it's unlikely she signed the exact cohort contract in June.
Yeah, I don't think off rip that without considerable information that we would believe, because it's not like these people are misinterpreting it. Your argument would have to be that they're making full-throated, bold-faced, malicious lies.
So you're saying that if she signed the contract that applied to this on like July 1st, let's say, and she was showing an email from June 2nd and saying, look, I do this myself, she is just maliciously lying, right?
Yeah, because she would be using an argument about, while literally showing a contract that she signed a month later than when she did the booking, unless, which would be, I think, far more reasonable, which is unless she's making the argument that she's still able to operate in a similar manner as what she did during
because she signed the similar
interview.
Contract before or something, right? She signed a similar contract in like March, let's say.
She says in this video, all I had to do to meet my contract was tell the chorus that I was having this meeting. But if you're saying that, like,
did she say that?
Yeah,
she said she doesn't. She said she doesn't let them know.
All I have to do is
she said this is what the contract says. She says this is what the contract says, and I've never let them know.
No, she said, like, all I have to do is tell them that I'm having this meeting, doing this meeting.
Maybe.
Because we had targets.
I'm going to go back.
Weren't
I'm going to listen again.
Featured on a huge page and then suddenly have an onslaught of nefarious, or just, hey, contract viewed by Wired. Creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. No, again, I literally have the contract right here. I'll talk through it in a minute, but first let me show you this. Here's an email of me directly reaching out to the Zoran campaign to try to interview him, because Chorus does not control who I interview or what I post. I also sometimes text the comms directors directly of like Congress people that I want to interview.
So I've not seen her say. She says she has the contract. She didn't say she was under contract for this.
Usually the congressional offices will give out these little business cards, and this is not like specific to content creators. This is just like if you go to try to talk to your senator, their people will give you little business cards. I blurred out the name of the specific person because I feel awkward, but like anybody can get these business cards, and then you can just text them. Chorus does not control that. I've done lots of congressional interviews, and usually I just set them up myself. And here's the section of the contract, right, that confirms that. It says they want you to disclose to Chorus any engagement with government officials related to Chorus's policy agenda. That contractor, that's me, I'm the contractor, arranges through other means. Right? So if I just arrange it myself with a congressperson, I just let Chorus know so that they know that congressperson's open to booking and other people in Chorus can do it too.
So I think the implication is there. I would just have to. She's like saying what you would have to do, and then she says she's never done it. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know how she'd say. I
wait.
just let
If
them know,
she's
but then
saying
say
that
I
she
never do
had,
it.
if she's saying that she forgets to do it, is she not recognizing that she has an obligation to do it?
She might be saying under this she has an obligation to do it, but she says
No,
she's
no.
never
What I'm
done
They
it.
saying
always
is, if
forget.
oh yeah, I forget. So you can push play on it.
Of course, no, like I
Push
don't
play.
think I've ever told them that before, but that's not what's important. What's important is that they're literally acknowledging here that you can book it yourself, and the fact that the person who
When
wrote this
she's
article
making
claims
a
to have
claim that, oh yeah, I forget to do this, she's she's either directly making a bold-faced malicious lie because she never had to do this, or she's saying I forgot to do this because I do have an obligation to do this, but I forget, and they just sometimes let it slide.
Well, I
I
think
know
she could
that
have
this
easily.
happened
This is from
with like
6 days
progressive
ago.
victory, where there would be certain things that I was contractually obligated to do, right? But sometimes I would forget or whatever, and they just be like, "Yeah, no big deal, like whatever."
Yeah, she just said some shit here where she said, "Well, it's not that you can't arrange it on your own. That's not expressed here, right? It says you have to disclose it to them. You have to do it through the course newsroom, right? Disclose to the course newsroom or course newsroom personnel, and then you have to fully collaborate with them regarding any such separately organized booking." And it just says this like plainly in the contract.
Yeah, no. This that's not the disagreement we're having. The disagreement we're having is over whether or not this person is signed a contract and is maliciously lying about when this contract uh
So
or the nature of this contract and how they can book. That is
I
what
believe
we're
with
having
the
a principal
Zoran
distinction
thing,
over.
I believe the Zoran thing, that is her saying, look, I booked with Zoran. I think that's irrelevant. But I do think that she's also trying to say that, like, look, I could just book this on my own and I don't even let them know or something. And
Yeah,
I
no, no,
just
no.
don't,
Yeah,
there's
no. Why
nobody
would she
contending that you
say
can't book it on your own.
why would she state that she forgets to book or to inform them that she books with people if she is not obligated to inform them that she books with people?
Oh, yeah, I agree that she's obligated
Okay, so she is obligated to book with people, right? So
to
if
inform them that she's booking with people. Yes.
yes, she has yes, to inform them that she's booked with people. So your argument is that then she would be lying or dramatically misleading people about the nature in which she can inform them because the email was prior to, let's just grant that it was prior to the program or her being a part of the program,
But I think
that
you
she's
agree
like
with that.
lying or
If she
misleading
wasn't,
by bringing up that email.
if she pulled up that email, that would be her lying. I thought you agreed with that. I thought you said that.
No, what I would need to show, what I would need to see is that email and her using that story is not indicative of her continued experience. That is the argument. Because her argument is that like she can have these bookings.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
So there's one of two realities in this, right? Either that under the perspective that she is not lying about being a part of the incubator program. If she actually is a part of the incubator program, right? And she the one reality is that she has an obligation to disclose these meetings to the choir newsroom, and she is her experience with disclosure is indicative of the Zoran interview, right? And then so therefore she is using that email even potentially prior to her signing up to the program to illustrate how the process, maybe just for like laziness or whatever it might be, she's just using a email that fell outside of the date, or that she is attempting to shadow how difficult it is to go through this process by taking an old email that was outside of her contract sign up date, and she's just going like, oh, it's way harder to do these bookings
I don't
now that I
care
actually
which one
signed
of those.
this
It could be either one
contract,
of those.
and I'm
Yeah, it could be
lying
either one of
about
those.
how easy or hard it can be. And when I say that, oops, I forgot to disclose, I'm lying about how lax they are if I don't meet my contractual obligations.
No,
Those,
no, I don't think any of that matters.
okay, so what do you believe?
I'm
What do you
saying that
believe
the-
happened here?
I'm saying the reporting in the article is that this clause exists, and she just shows that this clause exists, And she could say, I don't disclose, but that doesn't matter. The problem is the clause existing, right? The problem they have, not even the problem. The article suggests the clause exists. This actually just confirms the reporting in the article. And she could argue that, oh, well, I don't have to do it. And that disproves, but it doesn't disprove shit because the claim is about what the contract says.
Yeah, I don't disagree that the contract says this. I don't disagree that the contract says it, but the
article is
implication
100%
of the implication of the article, if you're just talking about the article in and of itself and not her response to it, that the implication of the article is that this is in some way like trying to control or manipulate who they talk to. Because I think if people look at the reality of, or at least this woman's stated reality of how they handled the situation, then it's nobody would think that is really bad. If you told people, hey, the reason why we disclose, or all we have to do is just tell them we're having a conversation with a politician coming up, like, and they go like, huh, why? Well, I mean, maybe it could be to have this politician be able to potentially book more media opportunities with various other creators and chorus, or like various. I don't think anybody would care. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Sure, but I'm just saying that like literally all it says here is that they do this. This is fully validated.
Yeah, but you need
this
to
is
take
somebody's
it in the
quote of how somebody feels.
The context of the article is that it's this shadowy, secretive, dark money group.
I'm going to take the factual statements as factual statements.
No. You need to take it in the context of it. I know you know how this is how it works, right? We both are aware of like 1350 memes, right? You can state facts, about like the world and put it in a misleading fashion, and that's what I would argue. For instance, that would be doing in this context. Right? Is that you're putting these statements into a like context that misleads the reader.
It's like overly controlling. And they want like access to those politicians. This is, by the way, like the least offensive part of this I've found, but I'm just saying that like this hasn't been disproven at all. Like they don't even really make any...
in the context of the article that it's some shadowy manipulative, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no issue with that. You can't extract it from the context of the article. If you want to extract it from the context of the article, then we can have a separate conversation. But the whole point is whether or not the article accurately portrays Chorus and or the Chorus Incubator Program as it exists, and that specific statement in the context of the article does not.
Is 100% accurate. Following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concern about some stipulations. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. Creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials or political leaders. Okay? If I want to work with another politician, I have to fully collaborate with them, said one creator who's offered the contract but ultimately declined to take it and asked not to be named. If I get Zoran and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to give that to them. So they're literally just referencing the obviously like similar contract language. This person is put off by it. Like you could say something about the article.
I would say in that statement right there, it makes it sound like it's a bad thing. That's not like, what does that even mean to give that to them?
I think this is the what do you call it? I have to fully collaborate with them. I think they're literally reading that third clause, and they're just saying like this is how they take it in, right? This is how they see it.
Yes, but
I would say,
I'm telling you,
can I just ask you just really quickly? No, I have to just talk really quickly. Okay?
Contract on Earth that isn't predatory.
I understand. You think that the political advocacy group is the same as McDonald's. That's fucking insane.
No,
but
what
I don't
I'm
want to talk
saying
about
is that there's not a single contract that exists in the history of mankind that wouldn't have predatory
elements to it. If we think that Taylor Lorenz, if it's incumbent on Taylor Lorenz to actually communicate her purpose with this article correctly, I'd say it's also incumbent on the people creating the contract to not give people the impression that they want to control their political contacts, right?
No, I don't think that is. I don't.
If there are multiple people who feel like this is a bit of a weird clause.
Actually, the case for legal. We're talking about straight up whether or not you have like legal, whether you're held liable legally for conduct for people that you take onto a program. And another one is straight up somebody writing an article that really only, I mean, you could argue has some legal ramifications for defamation, but really the principal concern is the ethics and the like moral consideration for whether or not you have the proof to back up your claims. there is a far greater standard put on Taylor Lorenz here to be able to accurately communicate a front-facing public article meant for public consumption and public interpretation than it is for a
this article is far
meant
off.
to explicitly give a business
I don't think
the
this article
best
is far
political
off.
and the best legal advantage when it comes to disputes.
I don't think this article is far off. I think the byline, the initial stuff, is a little too far. It's not that far too far. And I think basically these factual claims, this is all factual, and people just don't like the slight bend that Taylor Lorenz has against like unsourced, what would you call it, like unlimited money in politics.
Yeah, no,
She has like a principled position
in the context of the article talking about this being a shadowy, secretive, dark money campaign. I think it leads people to the obvious conclusion that most people who agree with the article come to, which is, hey, they're trying to control which politicians that you talk to and don't talk to. I think that is the very obvious interpretation that a reasonable reader would interpret off of this. We could talk about whether or not actually does it actually strictly say that, and then we could get into it doesn't technically say that you can't talk to these people. I think it is a very obvious implication in the context of the whole article, but I
don't think it's implied, or I don't think it's implied at all.
Okay, that's pretty wild to me, but either way, we can keep reading a little bit more. Or sorry,
and I would say that the alley person doesn't go anywhere near disproving that like anything here. Like literally her reporting this contract just backs up exactly what they said, gives a lot more credence to the fact or the idea that they have the contract.
You're talking about the factual claims, and the reason why I watched this video and the interpretation I got for this video is whether or not the implication for these claims or whether or not a separate alternative
do you think we have
reason
a lot of
for these various
here?
claims could be the case, and I think that's what she does. I think she lays out some of the details for that.
To find abuses of contracts like this, you need contracts that have been getting enforced for like years and years and years, right? This program, as of writing of the article, it existed for a month, and there were concerns about some of the stipulations. They wrote an article about concerns about those stipulations, and so this person who's clearly a retard didn't report anything, hasn't followed any of their obligations. They go, well, how did it affect me yet? That defense is fucking stupid.
I completely disagree because it shows that at least for some of the members of the program that the culture of the legal stipulations isn't as harsh as what Wired's making it out to be. Wired is making it out to be that every single byline of this contract is legally binding. It is the death note of legal contracts. They even go on to say that creators talk about how their lawyers couldn't redline anything inside of the contracts. They make it seem like you're signing a deal with the fucking devil. But if creators come out and say, hey, bro, this seems to be a pretty bog standard legal document that every single business in the history of mankind has ever done ever, which is giving them unlimited legal latitude, but often not enforcing this unlimited legal latitude, then I think that this is probably just the same exact thing as all these different things, which is just a bog standard legalese letter.
There's a difference between most companies on the planet and a company that is explicitly paying political creators who are engaging in political speech. You think there are certain things that they need to consider?
There is more overlapping. I think there's more overlap than there is different. No.
You think this is the same as like a contract at McDonald's?
No, for the principal distinction that you're trying to make between the two is, I guess, like fast food. But like, no,
I'm saying you're saying most
I am
businesses
trying
on
to
Earth.
state is that every single business in the history of mankind and every single business that will exist into perpetuity will maximize their legal advantage inside of any kind of dispute by making these very broad legalese statements for any type of stipulation.
So you agree that the contracts are potentially could be abused, but we just don't have proof that they would be abused.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, 100%.
Perfect.
Just like every other contract in the history of business ever. Yes.
So the article is concerned about how the contracts could be abused, right? And whistleblowers contacting Taylor Lorenz to complain about how the contracts could be abused. So the article, in my opinion, is quite factual.
No, because the overwhelming thesis of the article is that it's this shadowy, secretive, dark money group that is secretly pushing creators to toe the party lines, to push a specific political message. Not only is this the explicit
we're going to go through this again.
of the actual article, but also this is the interpretation of many of the readers who agree with the article.
We need to write some stuff down. I think we need to write some stuff down, because I'm gonna ask you again. Do you think that you could reasonably interpret pushing the party line as paying mostly Democrat-aligned messaging people, mostly Democratic line creators, to make content 2, 3, 4, 5 times as often as they were able to when this wasn't their full-time job? You enable them to do that, right? And you don't have 100% alignment, but you have 90%. You do daily messaging updates. You do advocacy training where you teach them policy in the exact way you think it should be thought about, right? And you do rapid response.
Is that even confirmed that they have those policy meetings where they explicitly are like, hey, this is how you talk explicitly about all of these different things? Can I see that?
Well, she says, well, we'll get to it in this, right? But she talks about how she's got an advocacy training, and they bring in a policy expert, and they go deep on some policy, right?
Yeah, they go deep on policy, but what you just said was different, which is that they talk about policy in the way that they explicitly want creators to talk about it. So they say, hey, hey guys, this is how X and Y and Z policies should be talked about this week. Do we have any proof of that?
Do we have any proof that I would assume that they're not going to, that they're they're a group that's dedicated to specific, what do you call it? They're an issues-based group. They're trying to say they're nonpartisan. I'm guessing that they have some code or some, they say they have a policy platform or something like that. I forget what the exact thing, policy agenda. I assume it's in line with their policy agenda, right?
It depends. I don't know what their policy agenda is, to be honest. And nor do I even really know what that means in the context. Nor do I really know what that means in the context of these contracts or their obligations.
Do you think they pay these influencers to go to advocacy trainings where they get them to go deep on a policy with an expert, and they pay an expert who's actually a creationist to come and teach them about fossil fuels in the environment? Do you think that that's very likely?
I don't know. I literally
probably
don't know.
have. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's unknowable.
I mean, do you know? Do you have any proof?
Nope. I'm not.
Okay, so then I don't know why are we speculating? Why? Just
why are we speculating?
Hey, I don't know. Bro.
Why are we speculating on this political group that's funded by
I don't know,
a political dark, a known liberal dark money group? Why do we think that the policy agenda might be in line with liberal values and talking about policy from a liberal aligned perspective?
No, why? Okay, why when we're having a factual discussion of whether or not this group is secretively pushing people to push the party lines, why are we performing conjecture? Why are we doing this?
I just want to say that
when we have people who have way more information,
you don't want any conjecture at all.
Who are giving us information on it?
Because you're the one saying that when I say there's factual arguments.
I've read the whole article. There's no actual proof anywhere that anybody was pushed to do anything.
I didn't say there was.
Okay, so but the byline does. The byline says that they were pushed to be able to. They were pushed to push the agenda.
Do you think you could pay somebody to do something and convince them to do it without telling them that if they don't do it, they won't get paid? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course you're able to do that, but I would expect in the article that claims this to substantiate why that's the case, and it doesn't.
I've given you a whole bunch of examples of how they're being encouraged to push the party line.
Pushes or prompts them to come to that conclusion. All of these different things do not push you into that direction.
Okay. I totally disagree.
Okay, can you give me the paragraph inside of this article that says clearly that this is where in the contract it says that it implies that.
But that's not my argument, so I don't know why you would ask for it. That's not my argument, so I don't know why you would ask for it.
Even talking about the implication, where inside of the article it substantiates the idea that if you do not toe the party line, you don't get paid.
I've literally said there is no explicit thing anywhere or implicit.
I said implication. Stop.
I've actually told you, and you've agreed with me that you don't have to cut the people off who don't toe the party line.
Okay, hey, listen to my words. Where in this article is it implied
substantiate for me? Substantiate for me. So you need to substantiate for me really quickly. I'm just going to go through this and say that you need to substantiate for me that they have to be cut off for the broad the broad basis for this to be the broad context of this group to be they're paying influencers to push the party line.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Why do I
so
need
your
to see?
argument is the
Can you let me finish talking
that-
for 2 seconds? Like
I
real
thought you were
quick. I just
done.
want to finish this point.
I thought
I'm
you
not
were
finished.
done.
Okay. I'm asking you. Why do I need to have even an implication that somebody loses their money to have them push the party line if I'm trying to pay people who already push the party line to push it more? And
Well, the
why
reason
would
why
it
is
be
because
wrong?
you're making the claim that they're being paid money to push the party line. You just asked, why do I need proof or an implication that people are being paid money to push the party line if I'm going to claim that they're being paid money to push the party line? Gee, I wonder why. What do you mean?
I'm
you
telling
need
you.
an implication.
So
Where does it
do you push the party
imply
line?
that they are being
Do you
paid
push
money
the party
to push
line?
the party line?
Do you push the party line?
Huh?
Are you broadly aligned with Democratic talking points?
Yeah, I'm broadly aligned. Yeah.
If I paid you to stream 80 hours a week when you're broadly aligned, am I paying to push the party line?
It depends on why you're
Yes.
paying me. And my
unequivocally
stipulations
yes.
for
No,
the
it does
requirements
not.
for
Unequivocally
payment.
yes. I'm saying I love what you're doing. I want to pay you to do it more. It's unequivocally yes.
Yes, what?
It's unequivocally yes. I am paying for the party line to be pushed.
Oh, well then, yeah, you're stating explicitly that you're paying me money to push the party line.
No, I'm just paying you.
You just said yes, it is because you wanted me to put, which one is it? Did you
I'm
just
saying it's
misspeak?
unequivocally. I'm telling you that the answer is yes.
Okay, so you tell me you are paying me money to push the party line. Therefore, I believe that you are paying me to push the party line.
If I can I ask you, if I paid $5,000 to Mike from PA, Frogan, Denims, all these people, let's say a bunch of them were, let's go like lower, Gremlo, like a bunch of these fucking loser leftists, okay? I'm paying them so they can make content full time. Am I paying to promote like terrorist propaganda?
It depends on why you're paying those creators. You could be paying them for
What do you what are they most known for?
Palestinian advocacy. You could be paying them for like being socialist, prominent socialists online. You could be paying them for like transphobia stuff. You could be just paying them because you I don't know, maybe you just like news being covered on their stream. Frankly, I don't watch all of them enough to know what they all do.
Okay. I think that basically you can pay somebody to continue what they're doing to do it more often, and that could be accomplishing a goal. And you don't have to tell them that they have to do anything different. You just say, I'm going to pay you to do this more.
Yeah, and I don't think that is sufficient to make the hard claim that they're being paid money to push the party line when there is no evidence whatsoever that even when they go against the party line that they will stop being paid.
We don't need that. I think we've established pretty clearly.
Yeah, no, I think you do need that. I think you need some element of when people go against the party line, when they literally push against the party politic, that they will stop getting paid, have a reduced salary, do something. Because otherwise, what you're just saying is they look for people who push the party line. And if they end up not pushing the party line, then they still get paid anyway.
So I'm going to go back to they're paying creators with this bend. Brian Tyler Cohen has explicitly said that this is about getting Democratic messaging out there to make Democrats more effective. And not only that, I do believe eventually they would be cutting people off. If 10 of these creators just went full on Trump, okay, they're full on MAGA, you think they just keep paying them? You think they keep bringing them back?
No, probably not. No, I do believe that it is like a pro-Democrat group, but I don't see any argument to say that their content is restricted outside of that, like outside of just not being MAGA.
So I don't know if they've actually made the claim that the content is restricted. We'll see. It's restricted in some way, right? It's restricted in some way. So I think what's restricted is
they can't be pro-Trump. Sure.
No, I'm not even making that argument. I'm saying the restrictions I don't think are like on the topics of the content. I think I don't think they're saying restrictions ideologically. I think they're saying restrictions on it seems like mostly FEC stuff, right? Like electioneering. I think that's where the restrictions are coming in.
I mean, they literally say and agree to restrictions on their content in the byline.
Yes. So it's restrictions on the content, but it's mostly with respect to electioneering, right? Like, as in, you have to check with us if you're going to talk about like certain things, certain politicians.
The obvious implication of this entire article is that they're like any reasonable person reading this article is going to think Chorus as an entire group pays content creators to push very specific messaging that they curate and only will let them talk to very specific politicians that they curate. And in the contract, they aren't allowed to disclose their participation in Chorus, and they aren't allowed to disclose how much money they make with Chorus. It's like that is the very obvious implication of this article. The fact that
creators must also loop this already disproves what you just said. So you
publicly talk about your participation in Chorus, but maybe potentially not this incubator program. We didn't get a specific on that. Is crazy.
Okay, I have to stop at one specific thing. You just said that a regular reasonable reader would infer that you cannot talk to politicians that they don't want you to, and yet it says creators must also loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials or political leaders. It's like actually explicitly saying they can.
That's not explicit. Wait, you've lost your mind if you think that explicitly states that you can talk to whoever you want to. When it says creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements, it sounds like they're asking their daddy for permission.
It doesn't.
And especially with the next fucking paragraph, if I want to work with another politician, I have to fully collaborate with them. So one creator who's after a contract, but ultimately declined it and take the ask. If I want to get Zoran and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to.
I just want you to agree. Yes or no? Is this a direct quote from the contract? Is that directly quoting a contract clause?
If that thing that you're highlighting? No,
you have to fully collaborate with Chorus when individually like scheduling your own shit.
Oh yeah, it states that inside of the contract.
That's explicitly okay. Perfect.
Wait, you just said something totally retarded and just decided to abandon my previous point? My point was telling you that the article clearly is implying that you have to, because you just for some reason read something in a brain dead way. Creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements. You read that as apparently evidence that it's saying that you could you're allowed to engage with any politician that you want. Explicitly loop Chorus in on in the context of these two paragraphs, in the context of this whole article, leads a reasonable reader to interpret that you cannot talk to a politician without permission.
You can say it with incredulity all you want, but it is explicitly saying you can independently organize your own shit. You just still let them know.
No, you have to loop them. It's crazy to me that there is no way that you are reading this and you're just like, this is explicitly like this. This is just explicitly the only interpretation, the most reasonable interpretation, when very obviously in the full context of the Wired article, it is heavily implying that you cannot do it without permission.
I don't think that's the implication.
That's crazy. Okay,
I don't think that's the implication of this part of the article.
Happens to just coincidentally see the way that I'm saying that people are going to read it. It's a pure coincidence. The way I'm articulating the article just happens to be the way that all of these different people who agree with the article interpret it. It just happens to be that every single last one of them who breathe air fucking interpreted it that way.
I didn't interpret it that way, and a bunch of Straight Array didn't interpret it that way. A bunch of people who read this,
I'm sure Straight Array
that way.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay. So a bunch of people I've talked to are capable of reading. So you could say like a retard who reads this.
No, not a retard. Right? I'm talking about a reasonable person who reads an article talking about a shadowy group that takes dark money and is funding democratic political content creators to push specific types of content for thousands of dollars a month. No, I don't think it's unreasonable to talk about when they're restricting. They're talking about which politicians you can talk to, whether or not they control which politicians you talk to.
Do you think it's possible for a reasonable person to read a title and byline and then read an article, consume an article, and realize that the title and byline were like hyperbolic and possibly clickbait?
Usually, no. That is literally the point of a headline, is that most people, especially in today's realm, that most people are going to read the title and the byline and that is going to color the rest of their interpretation of the article. Most of the time, that is the case.
Okay. So I like this is I guess you could say this. So I read the article like actually with a critical eye. So I guess when you say a reasonable person, you mean like the average person, which is fine. I'm
Yes,
just
the
like
average
I'm a
reasonable person,
I'm
not
a
somebody
reasonable
who's
person who's like
sitting
reading the
inside
article,
of these
right?
environments or whatever. I'm talking about your average Joe Schmo who's a fucking construction worker who's just working his fucking job and his hobby is watching football. Okay, we're not talking on
Uh-huh.
Twitch all day or Kick all day. We're talking about average Joe Schmoes who are just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to read an article about some dark money group.
Do we think the average Joe Schmo reads articles like this?
No, I don't. But I think
do
if
we
they
think this
did,
article probably
I
leans
think if
in a
they
certain
did,
direction?
their obvious interpretation is that this is some secretive group
Sure.
that pushes
Are you-
content creators to make very specific tailored
Yeah.
content to what their mission objective is,
let me
and
ask
that
you.
those content creators have restrictions on the types of politicians they can talk to.
Are you concerned about the average person reading this, or are you concerned about like someone who? Which are you more concerned about, the average person or Hassan? Like which one?
Average person.
Okay. Can you show me some like where are you seeing the average person's like feedback on this article?
I am being told it's listen, I gotta bring the temperature down, okay? My roommates are sleeping.
A little loud. Okay. Yeah, my bad.
What did you just ask me?
Where are you tapping into the average person's read on this article?
I would say based on how like I have understood people to interpret articles and messaging in the past is how I'm tapping in on this. I'm reading it and I'm reading it through a lens that I believe that most other articles have been interpreted by average Joe Schmoes, like people reading articles from like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, these things. I'm reading it with that interpretation. So when an article comes out talking about Mayor Eric Adams and his misconduct, or Donald Trump and his dealings with Epstein, or these different things, I look at the public reception of these articles. A great example is actually the Signal Group Chat Atlantic article. And what the public's interpretation of that, I'm using the public's reception of the way that these articles are characterized, and I'm interpreting this one through that lens.
Okay. I'm not tapped into those motherfuckers like you are, so I'm just making like claims based on what I'm reading. You know what I mean? Like, and how I interpret it, and like what the obvious language of the article is.
Sure, it might be obvious to you how the language is, but I think that for the average reasonable reader who their interpretation with dark money groups is that, and especially dark money groups who pay political organizations to push messaging, it's that if you do not push this messaging, you're cut out from the group, and that it's paying explicitly people to push a very specific message, especially in the shadow of like tenant media and stuff like that, that we saw where people like very explicitly were paid money to do some of these things.
Do you think you could look at this? Let's say we took the title and the byline away. Do you think if you looked at it through that context, do you have anywhere near the problem with the article that you have now?
It's a lot less. It's a lot less, yeah.
Okay. I think this is probably the biggest problem I have with the article as well, is this byline. I think I don't even care about this one. I understand the clickbait. I'm not as big I don't have as big an issue with this. But the byline I think is hyperbolic, and I do think there's no direct tie. I do think, in my opinion, like based on, you know, if I'm trying to divine what the goal of this is, I think this is the goal. I believe this is the goal 100%. I would not use this as a byline, but only because I don't have a lot of proof for that, and this group would need to exist for longer for me to prove that out. But if I had to guess, using my, you know, whatever subheading, I like byline. What do you mean subheading? Fine, subheading. Whatever, this fucking subheading. Okay. I just think you can't prove it, but I think this is accurate, honestly. And I think it's for the payola reason, basically. Like, I do believe that's what it will come down to. I think they've explicitly stated this is a group meant to help Democrats push messaging on the internet. I think that's been a part of their goal explicitly from the very beginning, and I just don't... I think they've set it up in a way where they can accept really large amounts of money to make this work. Or money, I would say not even large amounts of money. I'd say they can accept money from sources that can throw money away, and without naming them, right? They can just throw a bunch of money away. I think that's more what it is. Like billionaires who can just throw like, 100,000 or $1 million at this and not really worry about it. That's my suspicion. But I would never have put this as a title for an article I was writing because I think it's very difficult to prove and you need more time. I think most of the article itself is about.
I think the primary issue is that it colors the rest of the article. But even still, let's just finish up the chick's video. The principal thing that I care about is within 5 minutes, I believe, of the video.
The entire contract.
Yeah.
But like here it is clearly written that what you stated in your article was categorically false. Like that is quite concerning about your journalistic integrity. Like I get.
So there's nothing that's categorically false in the article. Especially in the section she's referring to, talking about that.
I agree. Nothing is categorically false. I would say
these contracts
is undue, though.
Are long and confusing. That's why people have lawyers and managers to help them, but you don't write an article about it unless you understand what's going on. This whole article is just written like, this group, they have money and so they control them. And it's just like, no, that's not what's happening. If there is someone in this cohort that you are like, they are too much of a shill doing whatever the Democratic Party says, it's not this program that's the reason for that. I don't know how to put this nicely. It's either a personal moral failing by those people or it's a different contract they're under that says they can't criticize Dems, but it's not this one because I'm under this contract and you can catch me on the daily making fun of Andrew Cuomo.
I don't see an implication here that says they can't criticize Dems.
Pissed at Cory Booker.
Wait, stop. There is an implication because it says toe the party line in the byline.
Push the party line.
That is the implication that you can't criticize the Dems is that you toe the party line. Do you disagree with that?
There's no.
That is the obvious implication of pushing the party line.
Pushing the party line is different than towing the party line. Towing the party line means shutting your mouth. Pushing the party line means advocating for the things they do positively.
No shot. So you believe when it says you get influencers are getting paid $8,000 a month to push the party line, all they have to do is keep it a secret and agree to restrictions on their content. You would say that it's a wild idea that it could be implying that you can't criticize Democrats? It's a wild idea. It doesn't make any sense that there would be an implication, a hint that you couldn't criticize Democrats.
So I would say that you're not going to spend time criticizing Democrats, right? That you'd be being paid to push like on policy issues.
No, that's not what I'm asking because her point and a point of a lot of these other people is that you are not allowed to push back against Democrats because you're agreeing to restrictions on your content and you're getting paid money to push the party line. You think that is a wild implication that they're getting out of this article?
Restrictions, I think push the party line. I don't think that necessarily means you can't criticize Democrats, but I do think agree to restrictions on their content. You could read it into that one, maybe.
I would say that's the most reasonable interpretation of a article tackling this group as a dark money, secretly funded.
But again, I think this is trying to get people hooked into the article, and I think people clickbait really hard in these parts. And I do think that if you read articles, like I'm mostly understanding that I have to go read the meat of the article and reading the title and the subheading, that I'm probably going to get misled by people trying to get clicks.
Yeah, no, I think because you keep saying that you said this even before, that it's very like nobody's making the claim that you can't criticize Democrats. I think that's total horseshit. This byline, in conjunction with the title, all this stuff, paints a very clear narrative, literally before you start the article at all, that you cannot criticize the Dems to any substantive degree. You can't.
Okay. I don't think that would be
disagree with
so. Okay, what I would say is, I think that there's no reason to think that that if you didn't want criticism for Democrats, and this is just, we're never going to agree on this, right? I don't think you need anything that says we negatively enforce this policy. I think you positively enforce, and you have enough money that you just pay people and you let people drop out who aren't positively enforcing stuff, right?
No, that's not. Stop. That's not the principal concern. The principal concern is whether or not there is the idea that you can't criticize Democrats. You can't do that. So is your argument anybody who criticizes the Dems are getting kicked out of this program?
That they just wouldn't be, that they just say, oh, that's money we missed.
Really? So you, for instance, think they're going to kick this chick out of the program?
No, I don't think this chick actually criticizes Democrats. I think being this person,
she has.
Sure. I think criticizing Democrats on Israel-Palestine will be like a cutout issue. where they don't want to lose people. They're
Bro,
trying
that
to be
is
on
like
TikTok,
one of the
and you need
isn't that
to.
literally the hottest issue that like people on the left criticize Democrats
Yeah, but it's
for?
also the issue where you probably need the party to change and not the influencers.
What?
Like
So
the
to
party
be
is
clear,
missing on this.
the biggest divisive issue amongst left-leaning people being able to criticize the Dems for is not actionable in your mind for termination of
Yes.
contract.
So if
Okay, so
if
like
this was in 2000, I think they could have gay marriage up there, and it would be something that splits Dems really hard, but it wouldn't be something that they would say you can't criticize Dems over.
Okay, so yeah, I think when these people make content, all these different people make content saying it's bullshit that you can't criticize this idea that you can't criticize the Democrats that this article is talking about. I think it's very obvious that the article is making that implication. I think it's an extremely heavy implication. And so, yeah, that's why these people are saying, hey, this is a lie pushed by the article, because that is an implication that the article is drawing.
What do you
Okay.
feel about the fact that Taylor Lorenz is trying to correct that stuff?
I would say that's good for her to try and correct it, and I'd hope she would speak out against the byline in the title.
I don't think she thinks the byline's incorrect.
Okay, well then I would argue then she's retarded and she's not actually speaking out against it.
Yeah, I think there's a way for me to make this argument that it would make sense, but yeah, I think you could absolutely do this, and I think one, you actually can't, given the structure, actually kick people out for criticizing Democrats. I think then you would immediately be facing FEC violations, but I don't think that's because they won't drop people who are overly critical of Democrats or not towing the party line, to use my wording or your wording, right? I think they will do that. I think that's obviously, like, the goal is to push Democratic messaging online. I think that's obviously the goal. And so
Sure, the goal is to push Democratic messaging online. Sure, but this idea that you can't uh, deviate from any of the messaging of like
I don't think
the
that's
like a
implied.
pro dem the party line is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you're taking push the party line and like basically saying that's like not colorful language. It's colorful language. I don't see a huge difference between pushing Democratic messaging on the internet and towing the party line. I just don't see a significant difference between those two statements.
It's about people interpreting this article as saying that you cannot criticize Dems. And that is a very reasonable interpretation from this article, just based on the byline even alone. Which you can't disagree. Most people are going to, if they're going to read the article, they're going to read the byline. Like the headline and the byline, and most people who even touch this article, that's all they're going to read.
Maybe. But like I said,
Yes.
I'm looking at what the article says, right? So I can't really speculate on what the average person thinks.
I mean, we can be reasonable. You can be like saying an initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers $8,000 a month, up to $8,000 a month.
I think it's implying
to push
that
the party
they
line.
don't want to
All they have
pay
to do is
people
keep it a
criticize
secret and
Democrats.
agree to restrictions on their content. You would
I
say
think
that doesn't imply that they can't criticize Democrats.
So let's say we publicized every influencer, okay? And actually, like, there's like 4 who push against the party in like 10% of their content, and other than that, nobody pushes against the party at all. Would you say it's still incorrect? Would you still say that subheading, the what we're calling the byline, was incorrect?
I would need more details. I'm not retarded, so I would need more details.
Okay, so they're basically only paying people who push the party line. Do you think the subheading is now incorrect? Why do you
I need more details. I'm not a chimp, so I actually need more information.
What more information? I've just told you that basically, what? So
what more information could I need before making a dramatic claim about
only 10% of their content pushes back against the Democratic Party?
I wonder.
I'm literally giving you a hypothetical that should be really easy to agree to.
Yes,
right?
and I'm telling you, I do not feel comfortable making any claim about a group that I have very insufficient information to make a claim about. So I just wouldn't make a claim. Are you asking me what I would have at a guess? My best guess would be? Or are you asking me?
Saying if I am giving you the exact ratio of the content, and it's like essentially 99.9% pro dem content, would you say the byline is wrong? The subheading is wrong?
No. I would need more information before I claim that know whether or not it's right or wrong. I need more information.
Okay. I totally disagree that that's required based on the language there.
Okay. I mean, I think that when we're doing investigative journalism, we should actually have like standards of not inductive like stuff. I think that's perfectly fine for like Twitch poll. I think that's actually perfectly fine for like Kick and stuff like that. But when we're talking about actual investigative journalism, that's pretty retarded. At least by the standard that I use when I read actual real fucking articles on like Epstein and shit, that is like a retarded standard. That is a dog shit standard.
I disagree.
This company is clearly pushing a
like
specific political
bias
agenda because they're only paying people inside of red states. It's okay. Well, surely the Medicaid
Elon
programs that we
did
just
this exact
authorized
thing,
is
right?
only pushing a
Elon
conservative
literally
agenda
flipped the
because they're
election
only
doing
funding
this.
Medicaid states,
actually just made me remember that
Medicaid in
Elon
red states.
won the election
Ooh.
for Trump doing this. Yeah, Elon literally won the election doing this for Trump. This exact thing.
Yeah, but it was very obvious and there was many different elements that were principally different for Elon Musk, and that I would say could lead a reasonable person to that conclusion.
Why? Why is it different?
Because he had direct advertisements saying like W Trump.
Oh, I'm not talking about his advertising. I'm talking about his like lottery shit, like getting out the vote.
Oh well, yeah,
but
okay,
he
yeah. I
followed,
wouldn't say the lottery shit in and of itself was like would be sufficient. Just get out and vote lottery shit would be sufficient to just be like, hey, this guy is pro-Trump. I think you would need in context his favorability to Trump, people who like him knowing that he likes Trump, his pro-Trump messaging and stuff like that. I think if somebody just holds a lottery to like go out and vote, I don't think that automatically means they're pro-Trump or pro-Biden.
Sure. But what he did was he used data from X to advertise almost certainly to nearly exclusively Trump voters.
Right.
That's nearly impossible
to
that's nearly impossible to prove. And he would have probably had other people getting involved in there. He wouldn't have blocked anybody from seeing those advertisements or signing up, right? He would never have blocked them. So he wouldn't have been pushing the Republicans explicitly. But in effect, he was pushing the Republican line.
Yeah, because he had an algorithm specifically tailored to target these people.
Yes, and I'm saying that's why I'm saying that given a selection of influencers, you could do this, and I think they believe that is the case.
Yeah, right? I don't see. So I'm giving you examples of creators. You're watching examples of creators who do not believe they have these same restrictions on their content. They feel free to criticize the Democratic Party. They don't feel like their contracts are going to get squeezed, and so they're doing it.
Sure. Is that most of their content is criticizing the Democratic Party?
No, they're still overwhelmingly like pro-Dem, yeah.
Okay, so when they push an overwhelmingly pro-Dem message, even the ones that do criticize Dems occasionally, they all push an overwhelmingly pro-Dem message. They are paying to push the party line.
I disagree.
Now, okay. Yeah, okay. So Elon Musk, because he wasn't actually we also can't prove the algorithm thing. I just assume when he shows Trump his fucking phone and says, look, we're easily going to win Pennsylvania, and then they win Pennsylvania, I just assume that there's certain
I would say
things
the example you gave for Elon
of.
Musk isn't even like a great one. There's multiple different examples for Elon Musk where it was very obvious he was like committing some kind of violation at very minimum ethical, maybe legal for like.
I'm talking about where he's like trying to have plausible deniability with regards to the FEC.
And sure.
I think that's basically what's happened here is they have plausible deniability with the FEC, but they're basically just all pushing a Democratic messaging. Or they're all pushing Democratic messaging. They are trying their best to push Democratic messaging online. And to me, when you categorize that as they're offering influencers to push the party line, I think in aggregate, that is what they are doing. Absolutely, not even remotely questionable. When you put that together with and agree to restrictions on their content, some people could infer that it means you can't criticize Dems. I don't know why, because that would be fucking retarded. Because that not only would that put them in trouble with the FEC,
that is the most
reasonable
interpretation for like all people is that they can't criticize Dems.
So they
have
can
to do what the Dems say.
I think you've just set up something where you've
That's
just like
crazy.
allowed all insane like political interference,
That's crazy.
political
That's
meddling.
insane. So
And
let me just
you
hear.
allow
Let me get
all
it
of
on
it. You
record.
excuse all of it.
Let me just get this on record. This statement,
Yep,
an
go
initiative
ahead.
aimed at boosting Democrats online, offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it a secret and agree to restrictions on their content. You don't believe that a unbelievable implication of this is that you cannot criticize Democrats.
Even if that were an implication, I don't think
I'm just
that
no.
this
Answer the
is
question.
wrong.
Is the overwhelming implication of this
No,
that you can't criticize?
Sorry. It's that you're not paying in aggregate for people to criticize Democrats, and I don't believe there's any indication that that is the case.
Okay, so you don't believe the implication
not
of
the
this
case.
is that, so just to be clear, you don't believe the implication of this is that you can't criticize Democrats.
I think the implication of this is not that I think whatever the implication of this is, it's not disproven by two people criticizing Democrats 3 times.
That's not what I'm asking. Why are you being so snaky? Is the main
Because
implication
I'm telling
of
you
this
that the implication
is
of
the
this
main
can
implication
be
of this that you
real.
can't criticize Democrats?
No, I don't think it is that you can't criticize
Okay,
Democrats.
all right. So then we principally disagree on this.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how you can agree to restrictions on their content and push the party line and believe that, yeah, no, you're totally
So,
free to criticize
I think
Democrats. I don't know how you can read that, but that's fine.
I'll tell you, if you only read this and looked no further, maybe you could take that away.
No,
But
there's
unfortunately,
where.
there is
Show
a
me where in this
shitload-
article.
there's a
Show me where in this
shitload of
article it
content
says they were
here.
able to criticize Dems. Show me where.
Why would they have to say that?
Because you're saying, like, if you only read that, if you read the whole article, it doesn't contest the idea that they were, or it doesn't it doesn't push against the idea that they were allowed to criticize the Dems. It says nowhere that they were able to make free content. In fact, the implication is that they were not allowed to freely make content. It gets several quotes from several different people talking about concerns of restrictions on their content, of whether or not they can disclose and stuff like that. This idea that, like, this article, if you read it, it's only the headline and the byline that talks about, like, the restrictions on their content. This is ridiculous. Nowhere in the article does it say, oh yeah, by the way, our byline, it's kind of bullshit. You actually are able to criticize the Dems. It says nowhere, and it implies that you can't.
I just disagree, but I think there can be implications here, and I think you can get this exact same effect. I think
we can't disagree because I asked you a question. Show me where in this article it says that you're allowed to criticize.
Where in
the
this
Dems.
article it says that you can't criticize Dems.
Right in the byline. Your
I've
question.
already disagreed
Now,
on this.
my question back to you.
I've already
where in this
I've
article,
already said.
Show me
maybe
where in
you
this
could think-
article.
maybe you could think this is where it's leading, but after you read the article,
we
you can't
already
think that's where it's
principally
leading.
disagree on this.
The content
okay?
of the article
I think the most reasonable
is leading
interpretation
in a different direction.
is that, and I think the proof is in the pudding for me that pretty much everybody who read this article believes that you weren't allowed to freely speak and criticize.
Where's the
Dems.
proof?
But
Okay, where's the proof? Because
fucking
I've asked
Hassan,
you.
all these different people
So
that
that's
are,
what I wanted to
are
ask
fucking
you,
reading
right?
this thing are saying that, yeah, no, these people were restricted to what they can and can't say.
What I wanted to ask you. So I think.
No,
personally-
stop. Because I asked you a question you refused to answer. Show
Okay,
me
go
where
ahead.
in this article it says that they
That
were
doesn't
freely
exist.
able to criticize the Dems.
That doesn't exist.
Okay, so it doesn't exist.
I've never
So
once
my
claimed that
evidence
that needed
for
to
the
exist. I have no
existence-
idea why that
So
needs to
let me
exist.
just make it clear. My evidence for the existence of the idea that they had restrictions or the implication that they couldn't criticize the Dems is the byline statement, which I feel like very obviously implies that. And your evidence for the idea that
I'm not
and
saying
I don't
anything
believe
about
that
whether
the
or not they
article
can
as a
criticize
whole
Dems.
does anything to dissuade away from that. And you agree that nothing else inside of the article dissuades away from the idea that they can't criticize the Dems.
Okay. Taylor Lorenz doesn't control the byline or the title. Or it would be incredibly rare.
She
thing.
has control over it in that she can choose to not run the story with that byline because she can be like, no, I will not put my name on this article with that byline. She has some control.
Okay. So she could basically like take this article she worked months on and say, actually, no, we're not publishing it now. I know you put all these resources in. I actually don't know what contract she signed, but you're saying she should protest this article now. because of
Yeah,
this.
but
Even
either
though
way,
her
you
words
said
don't
that
do
she
anything
doesn't
with
disagree
this,
with the
even though
byline,
her
no?
words,
You said that she stands
yes,
by it,
but
no?
I'm telling you that that they're pushing the party line. I've already explained how you could do that precisely with no explicit or implicit cut against people who speak negatively of the Democrat Party.
Sure.
Okay, subheading. If we keep saying byline, Portobello is going to kill himself. So don't say byline again. It's subheading apparently.
Byline. It's done. Get out of here.
Headers and subheads come out after the body of an article was written, and she had already signed an exclusivity agreement with Wired. So you think
Sorry,
on
say that
principle
again?
because of the so do you believe that so if she signed an exclusivity deal with them, she can't run the story anywhere else, they put all the resources into this, you think she should have basically protested and tried to like walk and say you can't publish this because of the title and byline they chose?
I will not walk with this because it is a misrepresentation of the
that's
article.
insane.
If that is your point, I don't believe it is a misrepresentation of the article, and I think that's the whole point of many of the different protests against it. As I think the implication of the article is too much. It's more than what the article actually says. The implication of the article, or sorry, more than what the article actually has to prove. The implication of the article is that Choir or Chorus as an entire group is this dark money secretive group that is paying influencers to be able to push specific messaging and restrict the content that they make in order to push very specific ideas. And they just simply don't have the proof for that. They don't have it doesn't meet muster. And moreover, this is coming from somebody who reads articles daily. I know what the standards are for articles, and this is not fucking it, dude. This is dog shit compared to the standard for what is necessary for being able to claim that, yeah, this is.
Could you give me like a 3-paragraph section you think specifies this like best?
Specifies what? The spirit of the article?
That is like dog shit, that it's a dog shit article.
Okay, so the byline.
Nope, I'm talking about the article itself. So the Taylor Lorenz authored part, I want the 3-paragraph section, maybe 5-paragraph section.
Article, no?
I'm asking you about the meat of the article based on the things written by Taylor Lorenz.
No, I totally reject this. The headline of an article is probably the most important part of the article. Number one, it's the thing that most people are going to see. Number two, it's a fair number of people are only going to engage with the article, the headline. And number
so you're
three,
just going to argue that
because
it's not at all about the meat of the article.
No, it does. Hey, why are we doing this? Why are we pretending right now? I said,
why am I
you said to give me
that
3 paragraphs. I gave you one, and then you contested the first one, and then now you're trying to say, well, we have no critiques of the rest of the thing. I'm giving you number 1 of 3. I'm giving you number 1 of 3. You asked me for 3. I gave you 1, and then you said,
no,
that's
sorry,
all you have?
You're misunderstanding me, and you're not watching me. So I'm highlighting like a 3-paragraph section. I'm saying, given the meat of the article.
Yeah, I can see that you're highlighting a 3-paragraph section.
I'm not saying 3 disjoint paragraphs. I'm saying a 3-paragraph section that makes it a dog shit article as written by Taylor Lorenz.
What? Why would I have to highlight a 3-paragraph section?
You say it's a shitty article, and you are obviously saying it's just entirely the title. And then when I tell you that you're saying it's entirely the title, you go, why are we doing this right now? I'm telling you to please highlight the 3-paragraph to 5-paragraph section of the article
why not
that you
4?
think makes
why
a
not
bad
5?
point.
Why not 7? I think the article in its entirety is bad. Like in its full context.
Sure. What is the critique of this part of the article?
A specific 3-paragraph
Can you give me your
bad.
critique of the meat of the article that makes it poorly written?
Yeah,
so I'm saying if we give this a different title, I'm giving it a different title. I'm giving it a different title and subheading, and I want you to tell me what makes it a shitty article after that point. So let's say they update it. Let's say they update it.
Wait,
let's say they update it. Because I just want to talk about Taylor Lorenz and her journalistic ethics and how she read
a different title. Because
I'm laughing because. I'm laughing because you say it's a horribly written article.
You asked me
your entire critique is the title.
Earlier,
your critique is summed up as you dislike the title.
Why do you keep pretending? Stop pretending. Just stop pretending. Right now, you asked me way earlier if the title was removed, would my criticism of the article be void? And I said no, but for the most part, most of my criticisms come from this.
In that world, can you give me the parts of the article you disagree with?
In the world where it had no title whatsoever?
Yeah, or subheading.
Okay. It would be the specific part of the what we went over with the politicians, like interviewing politicians. I think the implication of that isn't just that, hey, you just let us know and we're good, because I don't think many people, almost anybody, would think that's like a bad thing. That all you have to do is just let them know, and even in some situations, if you don't let them know, it's not a big deal. So I don't think that
So without
I don't think that's material. I don't think anybody really cares about that.
so
I think colored inside of the context of the whole article, it implies that you need pre-approval as to who you interview, which politicians you interview. I
I
think
don't
that's
believe
stupid.
that. And can I just also point out that when I asked you why you think it implies that, you said it was in the context of the article given, and that you quoted the subheading.
No, I quote. No, I
When we talked
believe
about
this in
this,
and of itself stands as something that implies that you need pre-approval to be able to uh, talk to politicians. And moreover, if it was honest or transparent about the actual underlying nature of how it works, it's not a bad thing. Nobody would consider this to be a bad thing. I think your average Joe Schmo would be like, hey, if you do an interview with a politician, just let us know. I don't think anybody would consider that to be a bad thing. So, with that in mind, that if they reported on it honestly, nobody would consider it to be a bad thing. And with the way that they reported on it, it implying that it is a bad thing, I think that is dishonest, and I don't like that. Uh, Another portion of the article that I don't like, which they literally had to add stuff to, is the contract reviewed by Wire prohibits standard partnership disclosures, which in the video with the woman she gets into. But beyond on the next sentence, declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus. This is false, or tell others that they're members of the program. This might be true. This is, and I'll grant that based on
so you
their reviewing of a contract, that they believe it to be true. But the first part of this is false. They are allowed to declare that they have a relationship with Chorus. Now they are not necessarily allowed
so
to
just real quick, I have to cut in.
declare
Just I have to
members
ask
of the
questions.
program.
So
Yep.
why then, when they reached out for comment and said this is the story we're running with, why was this not cleared up? They reached out to both Chorus and the guy who was in
Wait,
this
they
Zoom.
did. A screenshot from a slideshow shared with Wired follows the article's
This is
publication
post
that this is a
publication.
lawyer with Chorus that offers several
This is
talking points if a member
post
of the cohort
publication.
want to discuss Chorus publicly.
They reached
So
out
there
for
is a
comment
standard procedure.
pre-publication. They reached out for
So
comment
this,
pre-publication. Why, can I ask you, did they not comment pre-publication?
I don't know. But either way, it's false.
It's not false. The information
It
they
is false.
had.
You can talk about Chorus publicly.
No, you can't discuss your
Can
relationship
you or
with
can you not
Chorus.
speak about Chorus publicly in your
You
relationship
cannot.
with them?
They are saying, so I believe this is entirely true, that the contracts they looked at had language that said the creators will not publicize the relationship with Chorus, because Wired has a literal has a journalistic what would you call it, like ethical commitment. They wouldn't just lie about this. This is factually correct.
So
the
hold on.
contract they reviewed
notice what
has
I
this
said.
clause
Notice
in it.
what I said. Hold up. What did I say? Did I say that they lied, or did I say it was false?
You said this is false.
Yes. So is it false?
So the contract is
not
false.
No. What
It
I'm
is
saying to
true.
you is
The contracts reviewed by Wires prohibit standard partnership disclosures, declaring that creators will not publicize the relationship with Chorus. I do not think this is false, because I think that would be them publishing a lie. Now, whether or not this happens in reality, that you can't talk about it, I don't.
No. So you understand that they could publicize. They could again, and this is what the chick gets into, that the wording of the legalese might stipulate one thing or imply one thing, but in material reality and practicality, it doesn't enable them to actually, like, it's not actionable, right?
I don't. Sorry, what did you? That, like, they.
So
it's not
when you write a
actionable,
contract, you give yourself the maximum legal latitude. However, you don't intend
Okay,
on
I don't-
making.
That's totally fine. You give yourself the maximum legal latitude. The criticism here is of the contract. Why then, when they respond to this, do they say that this is debunked when it's a claim about the contract, instead of just saying, actually, while we do put that in the contract explicitly, and that's kind of weird, while we tell people that here's how you disclose it, and here's us showing how you disclose it. Why do they attack the credibility of both this publication and the author, instead of just expressing a clarification? Why, when they were reached out to for
They do.
comment,
That
did
is
they
the
not
you're reading the
express a
clarification, which is that
clarification?
they're allowed to
No.
talk about chorus publicly.
They're allowed to talk about chorus, discuss chorus publicly. This does not say their partnership with chorus publicly. That does not say that. If you want to discuss chorus publicly,
I don't believe it's contested that they can talk about. Is your argument that they can't discuss any relationship with chorus
the
publicly?
argument is that they can't do it without chorus's prior written consent, prior express consent, which is what's written in the article.
Yeah, no, because it says with or publicize the relationship, or tell others without chorus's prior express consent. Yeah, they're express consent in this context.
This is the claim.
Sure, yeah.
This has always been the claim.
Yes, that is the claim. Yes, I don't disagree that is the claim. But their relationship, they're allowed to publicize their relationship, right? Why, again, because we had talked about this earlier, if the clear implication is they're only expressly talking about the incubator program, then why are they, in this context, having to post an update in the context of whether or not they can talk about chorus at all publicly? And they're not even stating chorus explicitly. They're stating the incubator. They're not stating explicitly the incubator. They're stating chorus.
So again, people who sign the contract with the incubator cannot declare, will not publicly or will not publicize the relationship with chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without chorus's prior express consent. The update they give isn't even conflicting with this. The update they give is, here's a way that we've pre-approved with our lawyers for you to talk about this. This is literally all consistent with the article and a claims made in the article the entire time.
What is the problem with that? Because my problem with this is that it's implying that it's a bad thing. Wouldn't you need to know the manners in which they can talk about it publicly? What is the issue with this?
They're not saying that they can disclose. They still haven't said that they can disclose their financial thing. And ethically, I think they should be financially disclosing any financial arrangement that comes with obligations.
Financial arrangements? Like when they're talking,
you sign a contract,
we need to know the manner in which they're allowed to discuss it publicly? Because let's say inside of those screenshots or inside of various things that they're allowed to talk about that they're being paid, or they got gifts, or they got equipment from chorus. Wouldn't that be the principal distinction?
Why would Graham Wilson not make that expressly clear in these things? So it says that they're able to talk. If they wanted to discuss chorus publicly, they offer several talking points. Why would Wired say if they want to talk about chorus publicly and not make it clear that it's about the like how to talk about how you're being paid or that you're getting paid, right?
Because how you discuss chorus publicly could include whether or not you're being paid by chorus publicly.
Okay, then why would they not update this to say that like when the update comes through here, it's discuss chorus publicly, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know why the update isn't specific, right?
I don't know either. I would want to see the update, and I would want to see principally how this actually functioned.
From Wilson, chorus placing restrictions on content. I don't know why this isn't published, by the way. I just wish they would publish this, specifically this slide. I wonder if he asked them to not publish the slide.
I think if I had to imagine, and it's kind of a part of what the chick's video and her response is about, is that it's because there's legalese inside of the contract, and I imagine this is probably the reason why part of the reason why the contract isn't public is there's legalese inside of these contracts that make it look not good, make it look pretty bad, but in material reality to how these things actually operate, we have no reason to believe that you can't do the various things that people would want them to do ethically.
Okay, then if Chorus is saying that you can actually disclose these partnerships and here's how, and they could just quell this, why would they not just publish that?
Because it is how they're it's not in the wording of their contract, it's in how their contract is exercised.
Sure, but why would they just say this is like we're putting on the record this is how the contract's exercised?
Isn't that literally what Brian Tyler Cohen has literally done, or whatever his name is? He's literally said that no, there's no. that people can be transparent, people can talk about how they're getting paid. This is the reality of he's gone on and said, yeah, you can talk about being paid, you can criticize the Dems. He broke down these things, and you can say that he was not talking about this shit that you wanted him to, but he refuted it. He said that this wasn't the case. He just didn't go like, this stipulation in the contract isn't real. This stipulation, he just said that you're allowed to criticize the Dems. You're allowed to disclose stuff.
Yeah. We're talking about disclosing, like funding, right?
Did he not say that? I maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I thought he said that
maybe if he did. If you're just blanket allowed to do that, I don't know why they wouldn't just make it clear or publish this explicit like slide that they had where it's like, oh, you can disclose your funding.
Well, no, because like I said, I don't think it's in the legalese. I don't think it's necessarily in a slide. I imagine it's on a case by case basis. You ask like, hey, can I disclose how much money I'm being paid, or be like, hey, I want to talk about how much money I'm getting paid, and it's just like, yeah, sure, and just not very many people do it because nobody wants to do that.
Well, it's not even. I don't think it's about the amount.
Just be like, yeah, I'm getting paid $3,500 a month.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're mostly coming down to the same thing on this. I want to go through just her TikTok to get to the. You said I think it's this next part, possibly. You said it's before 5 minutes.
Possibly. Yeah.
And then I'm probably gonna wrap stream because we're at 9 hours 15 already. But
streamer to lose his job. Take your pick. I have heard of contracts that exist that restrict what people can say bad about Democrats, but this is not one of them. This contract actually has no bearing on a single thing that we ever post, which brings me to my next section.
And like, I have 100% confidence in this because I think if they had contracts like that, they would be getting like run into the ground. Like the FEC would run a train on them. If they had contracts that said you can't criticize Democrats as like this financial structure, they would literally get like triple penetrated into the ground as a organization. It would be over for them.
Next part, and this is a really important part, I'm going to try to explain this as well as I can, but feel free to comment questions, is that the contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures. What she's talking about, okay, a standard partnership disclosure is when you make a video in partnership with an org like the ACLU, and so then you put ACLU partner as a disclosure in your caption. There is very important context left out of this article of why the standard disclosures aren't the kind we use at Chorus, and that's because Chorus never pays us to make a video. The author of this article actually said that in a comment. You're correct that Chorus doesn't pay you to post specific content. Chorus is a training program where I learn things like what lights to buy if I want to film a YouTube video and what policy experts are saying about gerrymandering in Texas.
I'm so glad that they paid this lady $8,000 to be like, this is how you buy a ring light. That's a fantastic use of money, isn't it? $8,000. You buy this ring light, actually. That's awesome.
Hold on.
W1630.
I don't think it's exclusively that, but it's also like paying money for them to be able to potentially get like editors and stuff like that, right? I think I remember people talking about, so that $8,000 is pennies compared to setting up a whole operation like that, right?
Not necessarily pennies, but
absolutely.
I think
absolutely.
Is pennies.
How much do you think like Brett Cooper pays for her setup? You think it's more or less than $8,000?
Oh, you're talking about like a nicer setup. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm laughing that.
Hold on, that's what these people are trying to do.
I'm laughing at her example. Her example is like goofy.
Yeah, but
okay.
Her example.
They tell me what lighting to buy, and it's like a picture of a ring light. I'm sorry, it's just a goofy example.
Fair enough.
Garden DC. So since Chorus is about like personal development and they're never paying you to make a video, of course you're not putting like Chorus partnership in your caption. That's not how that would work. So I don't fault anyone who read this sentence and was like, that is so evil, because a lot of people who consume content don't necessarily know the way that is.
If she's first of all, do we agree she's telling the truth, and do you think that's like fair?
I think this is way more about like they don't want hashtag Chorus partner or something, or hashtag Chorus on content, because they'll run into FEC violations because they know the people they're paying are mostly doing content that would place them in a partisan or electioneering category. I think that's why they don't want it, because they know they're paying people who do political speech in that explicit way. I think that's what
you could say. That's more over, I guess, their issue or their like idea. But do you think that this is like unethical?
I mean, it's obviously unethical. The question is like whether or not it's unethical, given that you feel like Republicans.
I don't think it's necessarily unethical if they're allowed to disclose that they're partnered or that they're in the chorus program, but they just can't put it on their actual content.
Sure,
then I
if
don't
that's
think
all
that's
it
unethical.
is, yeah, if that's all it is. But I think
Well,
I
that's
think
what a
they still need
standard
express.
partnership disclosure is. Do you disagree with that?
It's all without Chorus's prior written consent. So I'm gonna see if she's saying that we could totally disclose this without their consent, right?
The logistics of like,
What? No,
you
no,
know,
no.
your
Wait, wait,
partnership.
wait. No, no, no. What I'm asking is, do you think that what she said there is unethical? That them not requiring that you put, or that you're not supposed to
It's
put a
not
standard disclosure
requiring.
on your content?
It's disallowing, right?
Yes. Do you think that is unethical, intrinsically unethical?
To block like a standard disclosure, I think so. I think it's like unethical to
Okay,
block
so
it.
I disagree because I think that what you should be able to do is just go, I am partnered with, like on your Twitter bio or your stream thing, I am partnered with, uh, uh, or it'd probably be in your Twitter bio that you are like affiliated with Chorus, and that should be sufficient. I don't think you should have to
Are
put
you
in every single bit of your content that
so?
you're partnered with that, because I also don't think that makes sense, because then that
I'm
would be
gonna
attaching their brand to every single thing that you say, which just isn't really how that works.
yeah. I think so. I've always thought the talking point was really compelling that for a politician who accepts lobbying funding, you have a patch and they look like fucking NASCAR drivers with the coats on, right? You ever found that talking point compelling? That like basically you take money and you should have like advertising on your Congress uniform, like commensurate with how much money you take, like the ratio
I
of
think
money
that
you would
could
take.
be. I think that could be like fun or funny.
I think it would
It's
actually
an
be
idea.
good that you knew where people's biases were, where they're getting their money from, how they're getting reelected, so that you know to like basically couch certain opinions from them in certain ways, right? I
Um,
broadly think if people are getting paid by
I would, so
interests, I
here
think
would
I
be
would
a
like to know
direct
that most
analogy,
of the
because I
time.
don't think that's a good analogy. Direct analogy would be is if you're a congressperson and you accept money from a donor, you are literally tattooed on your face that you accept money, for instance, from APAC, where you can't
No,
take
I
it
think
off no matter where you go. Well, no, that's the argument, right? Because the argument that she's
no.
making, and the argument, the basis for it, is that on a not on every single piece of content that you ever make into perpetuity, as long as you're under this contract, you have to put partnered with this group. I think that's ridiculous. I think you should be
No,
able to
I'm
just put it
saying
on a
I like the
centralized
idea of having
location.
a perpetualized or a perpetual thing. I'm saying that
Yeah,
if
no,
somebody
I think
wanted to do
only
that, if
when
somebody
you're
wanted to
operating in
disclose
a.
that, if they felt like it was ethical to do that, I think they could do that on whatever content they wanted to. I think they could do that. I think it's unethical to say
I
I'm
don't think
preventing you
I
from
no,
doing it.
I don't think that makes sense, because they don't want to associate their brand with really any particular political content that they that you
Then
are
why are
posting.
they
I don't think they
then
want to
why
have
are
to go through
they
the process of
sponsoring political
litigating that.
influencers?
What?
Then why are they sponsoring political influencers?
Well, not because they endorse every single last thing that they do or could do, but because that, like, as a content creator, they are probably what, anti-Trump. If I had to guess, is probably going to be the primary
I
criteria.
I um I think pro democracy is what they're saying is the cope. Um but how do I put this? I think hold on. Pro democracy is the cope, and I just think that they explicitly don't want them disclosing this because it will run into they. I think they're paying for that content. They are paying obviously paying somebody $8,000 who's basically only operating on TikTok. You are making them. You are probably the majority of the money they're making, right? I would
What?
imagine.
You are the
You,
majority of the money they're making?
yes, if you're paying somebody $8,000 a month who's only on TikTok with 100,000 subs or 200,000 followers, I think she's pretty big on TikTok. But I think if this is all she's got on TikTok, okay, no, 655K. I thought it was 100, but 655K on TikTok. But she's not getting like insane views. I don't think she's making thousands of dollars a month. She might be making $1, 2, $3,000 a month, right? TikTok's like pennies, right? I've heard TikTok you make nothing.
I heard TikTok
But
actually got way better. I'm not going to say exactly who, but I knew somebody who had like a TikTok get like, I think it was like 1 million views or something, and they got paid like, I think, $300. It's actually pretty crazy.
yeah,
Um,
but then so I would say that. then 80 million likes. So 80 million times 300. 80 times 300
No, sorry,
is
views, not likes. Views.
Oh, so less than that, more than that. 5.3 million. I don't know how you find views. I'm trying to find like Social Blade or something for TikTok. Do I got TikTok here? Oh, I do have TikTok. Hold on.
I don't know.
Ali202.
This was more recently. This was like 6 or 9 months ago. I don't remember how long it was ago, but they said explicitly that they had been posting on TikTok and they weren't making money. And then all of a sudden they started making money. So they seem to imply it was a change, but nonetheless, it doesn't really matter to our conversation. I don't think it's unethical to avoid standard partnership disclosures, right? Well, for instance, do you think my partnership with Progressive Victory was unethical?
I think it would be unethical if they told you couldn't disclose it. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is I wasn't required, and nor did I put on every single tweet, nor on every single short, nor on every single YouTube video.
I don't think
nor on
that
every single thing
requirement
did I
is
put.
an ethical requirement. I think saying that somebody couldn't do that, saying we don't want you disclosing, I think that is unethical.
Why?
The disallowing of that disclosure in any way, to me, feels unethical.
Why?
Because you should be able to disclose that you're making money from people.
You can. They already have a list of how you can disclose that.
But I'm saying you should be able to say, I'm being paid to make political content. That's what you're being paid for, right?
So, no, you don't need to have hashtag sponsored on your content to show that you're getting paid to make content.
I know you need to,
Okay,
but
so
if somebody
then
felt like that was their ethical obligation to say, I'm getting most of my salary from somebody with a political interest, and I think it's my ethical responsibility.
You can do that
to
in your Twitter bio. You don't have to do that in every single TikTok that you make, every single YouTube video you make.
Yeah, but people might not click through to your bio. They might only see the video. And if somebody feels it's their ethical responsibility to do it, I think it's unethical to tell them they can't.
Okay. That's fine. I don't think that's a big deal. I think that doesn't matter literally at all. And I would actually argue that it makes total sense on behalf of whatever group that you should not have to literally endorse every single video that that person makes into like in totality. I think that's ridiculous. I think that they should be able to reserve the right to be like, hey, no, we don't want you making content with our name attached to it, but you can disclose that you're getting paid by us as like an
I think
entity.
they should limit how much they're paying people to like a tenth of their income that they make from actual like content creation, because otherwise if they're a significant portion of their income, I am worried that the interests of that group will be like pursued by the person who's getting 90% of their income from that group. I think that is a concern, and I think somebody might ethically think, okay, if I'm getting a huge chunk of my income from this, I think it's
so I gotta give them my tax return before I accept this stuff. What the?
Who said that?
You just said limiting X amount based on their income. So I got to give them my tax return?
I'm saying like, okay, that would be like a goal. You could do it based on views and how much you project they make or something, right?
What the fuck?
Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Hold on. Do you understand that I'm just going for like a... You understand I'm just going for like a standard, right?
I don't think that's practical, nor do I think that's...
Sure. It's impractical. It's impractical. It's impractical. I'm not trying to give you something practical. I'm literally just giving you like a standard for if I'm giving you 90% of your income and you feel like... I feel like if I'm giving you 90% of your income for your political... You're a political content creator. I find you. I'm a political activist group. I'm giving you 90% of your income. I understand that you might want to say... to disclose to everybody on everything you do that you're getting most of your money from me. And I think it's unethical for me to block you from doing that.
That's not what's being blocked in the standard partnership disclosure.
Okay.
The only thing that's being blocked is every single time that you make a piece of content, I don't have to filter out whether or not you put my name on it.
I said that.
I just say you can't. Don't put my name on any of the content you make. But you can put my name on your Twitter bio, and you can put my name anywhere here and say that you're paid by me.
Yeah, we just disagree. I think it's unethical to disallow, but we're just talking in circles. It's okay. I think it's just unethical to disallow that, and
yeah,
I think they're doing it. I think they're doing it because they're skirting FEC law.
I can understand you saying it's more optimal, but
they're just skirting campaign finance law, right? Like that's what's going on, and that's why
I
it's
don't know.
unethical.
I genuinely don't know enough about campaign finance law to know whether or not that would even skirt the lines of campaign finance law or not.
I think people who are more honest about this, who have done the analysis, like people who are a part of this, basically say that yeah, it's them avoiding that most likely.
I don't know what the campaign finance law is, and I would reckon that many of the people commenting on this don't either.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know a lot. I know enough that I've like looked into a couple of these structures, and I think these things have to say explicitly nonpartisan and can't be involved in electioneering, like specifically with Chorus Media. And I think basically they have a bunch of people who would get involved in electioneering, who would endorse candidates, and they have to write a contract that prevents them from having their name attached to content that endorses candidates, because if they have enough of that happening, then they will be like basically fined or possibly like disbanded by the FEC. That's likely to me what the actual concern is here. But nobody's talking about what the actual concern is, in my opinion. I think they're talking mostly about other shit.
I think they're talking about the article, man.
Yeah, well, I actually think they're not talking about the article. I think they're talking about what Hassan's saying about the article.
In this, of the people who do that, I don't think that's wrong either. Because what people like Hassan are doing is they're creating a perception of the article that it needs to be combated. I don't think it's wrong to do that.
I don't think it's wrong to combat Hassan. I think it's wrong to go and say Taylor Lorenz loves fucking Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson instead of coming up with a tangible statement of your own.
I mean, they have come up with tangible statements of their own.
I think most of this is cope, and most of this is actually not even remotely disproven by the stuff they're saying. I think this person was explicitly lying in a ton of this video. I think they're explicitly pointing to things. Right. I think they're explicitly pointing to things before they signed this contract and saying this is proof that this contract isn't enforced. I think they're explicitly doing that.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Just last little bit here, and then the video's done.
Okay.
Labels work, but I am frustrated at the author of this article for not adding like the relevant context here, because she is not supposed to publish an article unless it's been like very fact checked and contextualized, and this was like very misleading. And then I also highlighted this section. I accidentally talked about it already earlier in the video. Creators will not publicize the relationship with Chorus or tell others they're a member of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. This is the protecting small creators part, but also lots of things in contracts are written very strict in case of legal emergency. I've told plenty of people casually that I'm in Chorus, and Chorus does not care. They've expressly told us that that's fine. This is just for if someone does something like diabolically evil and then Chorus has to sue them, and they can just be like, girl, the contract. Like, it makes it easier in court. They don't really care about it otherwise. It's not top secret. If you want more examples of people who've publicly talked about Chorus for a while.
Do you think that's a lie?
Yeah, I think that's a lie. I think basically the reason they do this is, again, all of the stuff around FEC. Yeah, I think, yeah. So my thoughts on this are essentially that they're trying to maintain their status as a 501c4 while doing things that are explicitly like partisan political actions.
She's lying about the fact that she can just casually drop that she's a part of Chorus. She's lying about that?
No, but I think she's been a part of Chorus from the beginning, and I don't think it's about
so you
talking
think
about Chorus. I think there are I think there are express
ways
that the lawyers have okayed them to talk about Chorus.
Okay.
That is an update in the article, right? That the lawyer said, here's the way. So again, it's without their express consent. That's the claim in the article, right? Without their express consent. And I've seen nobody dispute that.
Because they don't want to have their name, exactly what she said. They don't want to have their name attached to some insane thing that you say. So it's like, hey, we're putting this in here in case you say some insane, retarded shit. And we reserve the right to go, hey, we at Chorus condemn this, and we don't consent to our name being attached to this content.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I don't think you have to do a contract that prevents disclosures. I think you could come up with some other language there. I assume you shouldn't say, oh, you have to get our okay on everything. And I think the effect of that is a lack of disclosure and way fewer disclosures on the part of the creators, which I think is just going ethically in the wrong direction. Right? I don't think you disagree that the effect of those contract clauses is way fewer disclosures on the part of creators, right?
Again?
I don't think you disagree that the effect of having that contract clause in there that says you shouldn't do this without express consent is way fewer disclosures on the part of creators, a way more opaque, like, political funding within creator spaces.
Sorry, you're asking if it's What is
I
your
think
question?
I think the effect of this is that creators will not disclose funding. That the effect of this, they will not
Oh, I
expressly, they
see.
will not get consent. It will lead to a total what is it? Is it dearth? Is dearth lack of? I think a total dearth of
I think it is
disclosure.
dirt. I don't think that's the case
Why?
because I have no reason to believe that would be the case. Why would I believe that nobody would disclose it?
I didn't say nobody. I said way fewer. Like I think
Oh,
it
sure.
absolutely
What?
I think it absolutely hinders and eliminates disclosure. Like I think basically no if
No,
somebody
I
gets
mean,
sold like
if they're
without our
shown a
express consent,
slideshow
they're
of how
basically
to
never gonna.
disclose it, I don't see any reason to believe that there would be people who would believe they can't disclose it.
Okay, so if that slideshow comes out and says, "Here's how you can talk about how you're getting paid by Chorus," I would totally agree with you. I don't think that's what it's gonna say, but we'd have to wait until we see it, right?
What do you think it would
Because
gonna? What do you think it
I
says?
think it's gonna say, "Here's how you can talk about the fact that you work with Chorus," and it's not gonna make any mention of you getting paid or the cohorts or whatever's going on.
Okay.
That's what I believe. But I could be wrong on a lot of this. This is my read going through this whole thing from the beginning. I would love to see that slide. I'm looking forward to that slide getting posted. I have a feeling this isn't really going to go away that quickly, and I'm excited to see how it will go. Bro, what the fuck? Using this Trump picture? There's no way. This has to be edited, right? This motherfucker's dying. There's no way this is edited. This is fake. This is fake.
Yeah, that's super edited. There's no way. He's not that
That's got to
fat.
be
He's
fake.
fat, but he's not that fat. All right.
This like doesn't even
Listen,
look fat. It's like looks like he's gassing up. Okay, he's like getting filled with some kind of. This guy's about to pop. This guy's a boomer.
I gotta go to bed, bro.
Yeah, me too. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for the chat.
Yep. Much love. Bye.
Good night. Good night. Okay, good night, guys. Bye. See you later. See you later. See you later. Good night.